Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight as we kick off a Monday. Now, remember, listeners, this Monday, this week will be our final week before we go silent for 2 weeks while we revamp everything behind the scenes of SOR. So make sure you enjoy these shows because when we come back, it's going to look good. It's going to look good. My hair will look good as well. Daniel Harary is our guest tonight. We're going to talk about his brand new book that comes out in 2 days called My Paranormal Life. You can pre-order it on Amazon. We're going to get deep into this because you know how I love these personal adventures and stories. But most of all, let's say hello to each and every one of you. We have Tim Mothman and his goatee sharing a gold medal, Race Fan with a silver, SJ with a nice bronze medal tonight. Hi, Chris716, Laura Lobbs, Frankie B, welcome to SOR Chat. Hi, Kitty Cattywhack. Rugged Source is here. Rugged Source will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. JSCO, Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, Deer Slayer, and Deidre. Good to have you all here. Hi, Dragonfly and Mama Susan. Les Paul Holland strumming away on his beautiful guitar collection. You should go onto his Facebook profile and see it. It'll just make your mouth water. Oh, JBD, what's happening? Little Timmy in the backwoods. Well, he's not really in the backwoods. He's in the back screens. See? There he is right there. Little Timmy. Hey. He'll be here sitting around and he'll be here for the show. All right. Beth Noyes has returned after a long hiatus. Beth Noyes will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Lee the Bee, Simon the Likeable. How's it going? Hello, Deanna Ann. W. Decker, Area 53, has returned. Good to see you, buddy. And thank you so much for kicking off the super chat tonight. I really appreciate your love and support, West. You're amazing. An amazing, amazing supporter. Thank you from the heart. Number 26 in your program, starting at right wing tonight from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson, Noble Patrick, Digger Dog. How you guys doing? As we continue on with our roll call here, Swamp Gas Jenkins, thanks for coming on in. Hi, Paramarv. And who's next on our list here? Gory Tiger and Melvin from Mars. Purple-haired Pixie Lara. There she is. If you wave at her, she always waves back. Always. Marty Burback, how you doing? Phil the Stalker, good to see you. Operation Shutdown, Area 51, and W. David Page, good to see you all. Human Carl is here, not to be misconstrued with Alien Carl. Human Carl's a great veteran of the United States Air Force. We love him around here. Thank you for your service, Human Carl. The Unknown, good to see you again. Hi, Shelley and Amanda Carroll. Science Melinda and Rain, good to see you all. Monica, Deadfish, how you guys doing? As we continue on with our roll call here. Astral Fugitive, what's happening? Algaray over on Twitch. Guess what, Tim?
What's up?
He did 332 pull-ups in 18 seconds.
My goodness.
Yeah, I hear you. Just to warm up for tonight's show. Glenn John McEnroe, the pride of Wimbledon. How you doing? And who's next on our list here? Ozzy and Scanman. Good to see you both. And Pat Fisher, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you, Wes, again. Thank you. The hair does look okay today. It really does. I'm not happy with it. Mr. Cowley, what's happening, my friend? Good to see you. Michael Gutierrez, Paul Demon, and Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we have Daniel Harary on. His new book, My Paranormal Life, is on pre-sale right now on Amazon. You can also get it as of July 17th. We are in roll call right now, so let's say hello next to Operation Shutdown. And Pat Fisher, welcome to SOR Chat. And Jessica McCreary, good to see you. Hi, Yennefer with a soft J. Nice to see you. Tokeland, good to have you here. Pam Harris, Susan Alloway, Eternity Eternal, thank you for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call. We got 10 seconds. Can we do it? Jessica S. Got to cut that off quick. And do me a favor, everybody. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the newswire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show of paranormal action tonight. Author, researcher, experiencer Daniel Harary is going to join us momentarily to talk about his new book, My Paranormal Life, Supernatural Stories from a Hollywood Insider. This is going to be amazing. Oh, God, I love shows like this. I do. You know why? It brings the personality of the story and the encounter to real life. This is why we do this, is because real people are experiencing this stuff, and I want to know their stories. And I know you do too. So that's why it's important for us to get Daniel on for us tonight. Then in hour number 3, Steve Stockton has a good story from Tales Untold. Tim James is here. We're going to get into the UFO stuff. There's a lot of weird things going on. A lot of weird things going on right now. And we're going to cover those stories in a couple of hours. Born and raised just outside Asbury Park in New Jersey, Daniel Harary is a man of many talents. Not only does he grow a nice beard, he's best known for his 40-plus years of work in Hollywood as an entertainment industry publicist and owner of the boutique Asbury PR agency in Beverly Hills. Daniel is the author of 5 books, including his latest one, which we're going to talk about tonight. It's on pre-order right now on Amazon. It comes out officially in just a couple of days, called My Paranormal Life, Supernatural Stories from a Hollywood Insider. And let me just give you a little tease on this. This is from Amazon that Danny wrote. After Dan's late grandfather, Joseph Harary, began haunting his Beverly Hills apartment during spring 2003, Daniel became convinced that supernatural stuff really can happen to normal people in everyday life. The evidence of his grandfather's presence was so powerful, it could not be denied or simply explained away as his imagination. Now, if that doesn't give you chills right off the bat, I don't know what does. But let's bring him on. Daniel Harary, thank you so much for being on Spaced Out Radio again, my friend. How are you?
Hi, David. How are you, man? Yeah, listen, you and I are like the Gray Beard Club, right?
Oh,
The white beard club. Yours is better than mine. Mine is crappy, but I like yours a lot. Listen, by the way, I hate to correct you. My book came out. It came out June 17th, not July 7th.
I read that wrong. I
It's okay.
apologize.
It's okay.
man.
June, so it's out. So please buy my book. Help a poor struggling Hollywood publicist out. It's on Amazon now.
Oh, well, I apologize for
It's
saying
okay.
the incorrect date, but
It's okay.
hey, we were still pointing people there.
I know.
We're
No,
still
you're
pointing
terrific. I
to go
just
pre-order, but you don't have to pre-order.
you don't have to you can order regular order.
Right there for you. Dan, you are a guy who is very involved in this community. You work with Contact in the Desert. You've got the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance with Steve Bassett open up now. I mean, you are a man wearing many hats in this field. I'm just going to hit you right between the teeth with this one. Why do you do it?
That's a really great question. And the honest answer, David, is it came to me. It was given to me. It was bestowed upon me. I didn't go to it. It came to me. Honest to God, it came to me. I've been a Hollywood publicist for 40 years, and I've represented, I've worked at the movie studios, and I've worked with a lot of very famous celebrities, TV shows, movies, red carpet events, tuxedo events, so many major things I've done on the Hollywood side. And that's been my career for all this time. Concurrently in my personal life, David, from the age of 5 until now, I've had a series of paranormal experiences all the way back into early childhood. Now, how did I get so involved? And I'll give you the quick story. A quick story is in March 1970, when I was 14 years old, and we talked about this last year. My father and I saw a UFO when my dad was driving me home from school. I'm 14 years old, March 1970 in New Jersey. My dad's driving me home, 3:00 in the afternoon. I'm in the passenger seat. I see through the windshield a huge silver V, letter V like Victor, craft, hanging above my father's car, Dave. It was huge, and it was hanging, just hovering, no smoke, no propellers, no noise, nothing. So I go, Dad, there's a UFO up there. Stop the car, Dad. Stop the car. Stop the car. He stopped the car. We got out. We stood in front of the car. And Dave, I'm jumping up and down. Dad, look, isn't this cool? Dad, it's Star Trek. Dad, it's Star Trek. Isn't this cool? And David, my dad looked at it like bored, couldn't care less, seen it a million times, no interest. He wasn't afraid. He wasn't intrigued. Nothing. Absolutely no interest. Okay. That's the origin of where I am today, okay? That's March 1970. I forgot that story happened for 47 years. Completely forgotten. It just wasn't in my brain. Now my dad dies in April 2017, okay? 47 years later. My dad died in Florida with his second wife. I went to a deli. I live in LA. I went to a deli to get it. 3 days after my father died, I went to get a pastrami sandwich at a deli and to mourn my father and to be alone and just think about how much I loved my father, because I really did love him very much. I go to the deli. I order a pastrami sandwich. The waiter walks away. And now, David, everything I'm about to tell you, I swear to you, is true. Okay. I'm sitting at the deli thinking about Dad. A beam of energy from above come bang into the sky, bang hard into my head like this, bang. And then through my eyes and through my brain are projected in the air, 6 inches in front of my face, 3D color hologram home movie of the 1970 UFO sighting I had with my dad. This is now 2017, okay? 47 years later. I'm watching it at the deli, and I'm like, oh my God, I remember that. That happened with my dad. Holy shit. I remember that happening. Now, here's the best part. It's color. It's 3D color hologram with audio. So in this little clip, I'm like, Dad, look, it's a UFO. I'm seeing myself. I see myself jumping up and down. It wasn't a memory. It wasn't from my point of view of my eyes. It was as though God, the cameraman, was behind my father's car. So the camera was the car, me, my dad, and the UFO above. So I was in the movie. It wasn't from my eyes, right? I was in the movie. And I see this. So now my dad is looking bored. Now, David, he looks at me. He looks down. He winks at me. My dad winked at me and goes, come on, kid, let's go home. Okay. Then that little movie vanished. Vanished. It just went away. Then I hear a voice in my ear. Get a pen, get a pen, get a pen, get a pen. You need a pen, you need a pen. I asked my waiter for a pen. He gave it to me. I put it in my right hand. On the table in front of me is a paper placemat on the deli table. My hand wrote, write a book about benevolent aliens. Then it wrote, lead character's father knew about UFOs. And then my hand wrote capital A, capital T, capital C. And then my hand stopped moving. So I'm like looking at this paper. I'm like, what the hell is happening here? Right? What is happening? I'm looking. And then after a while, a book came to me. It was a book after they came. This is my baby. This is my UFO book. This book put me on the map. This book put me on the map.
That's pretty powerful.
Okay. So that was 2017. I go home from 2017 to 2018. I write that book. Along the way, I thought, I have a feeling my dad was more involved with UFOs than anybody ever knew. Okay. My dad was an electronics engineer and a physicist for the U.S. Army for 45 years.
Well, there you go.
Okay. And there's more to come, my small little friend. For 45 years, my dad worked on top secret projects for the Army. Now, me and my mom and my brothers, well, we knew that. And we knew he worked on radar systems and missile systems. That's all we knew. We knew nothing more than this. After my father died, I called my mother. She's still alive. She turns 90 in a few weeks, my mother. I said, Mom, in all the years that Dad worked on radars and missiles, and everything my dad did had to do with the sky, right? I said, did Dad ever say anything to you, Mom, about UFOs? My mother said, and David, and this is after my father died. My mother told me a story I'd never heard in my entire life. She goes, in the early 1950s, they took your father deep into the vault at Fort Monmouth, New Jersey Army base, and they showed your father something top secret. Your father came home. He was pale and shaking and nervous and almost crying. And my mother goes to my father, honey, what's wrong? This is before I'm born, David, okay? Before I'm born. My mother says, honey, what's wrong? My father goes to my mother, I saw something today, top secret, I could never tell you or anyone about as long as I live. Okay? Now, do you know the Jackie Gleason, Richard Nixon story? You know that one, right? The outcome of that, right? What Jackie Gleason was never the same, right? He was very upset, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's a clue. That's a clue. After my father dies, I look through his papers. I find a profile of my dad from the Army base from 1985 that I never knew I had, okay? Never knew I had it. In there, David, it proves that my father helped to invent military drones with lasers for the U.S. Army. My father helped invent military drones for the Army. I have proof in my hand, okay? That's a clue. Now that we have a couple more clues that are coming. At the back of Richard Dolan's book, UFOs in the National Security State, Volume 1, in the back, is a glossary of UFO sightings over U.S. military bases, chronological order, okay? My dad started in Fort Monmouth in 1951. In the back of Richard's book, 1951 and 1952, there were radar-reported UFO sightings over Fort Monmouth, New Jersey, where my father had just started working. So even if he wasn't outside seeing them with his eyes, he had to have heard about that. He was on the base at the time. And here comes the best one of all. Last year, Stephen Greer did a 3-hour talk at the Washington Press Club a year ago. And in Stephen Greer's 3-hour talk, which is on TV, he presents, Dave, a chart of 145 U.S. military bases that he has proof of through his whistleblowers that worked on reverse engineering of the extraterrestrial technology for the military. Okay, 145. There's a chart. So I freeze framed my TV at this chart. And I freeze framed it, and I have a huge TV. I walked up to the TV, and I'm looking with my finger. Dave, number 51 on Greer's chart Fort Monmouth, New Jersey. Okay, so let's put the clues together. My father worked for the U.S. Army for 45 years, top secret. I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. He saw something top secret in the vault, and he told my mother said your father was never the same after that day, right? Stephen Greer proved that my father's workplace worked on reverse engineering of UFO technology. In Dolan's book, it has that the UFOs were seen over his workplace. Also, when I was very little, I remember this, I must have been 8, 9, or 10. My dad said, President Kennedy read my report. What did you just say, Dad? He goes, yeah, JFK read one of my reports. JFK read one of your reports? I'm like 8. I'm like, oh, that's cool, Dad. Can we get ice cream? I mean, what do I? My dad went to the Pentagon all the time. And my mother also recently told me he went to White Sands Missile Testing Range all the time. So if you put all those clues together, my dad and I saw a UFO together in 1970 when I'm jumping up and down like an idiot, thrilled to death, and my dad's bored. And then he winks at me and he goes, let's go home. Okay. 3 days after he dies, I'm at the deli and I get a home movie of that moment. Now, here's what happened. I believe my Father in heaven, not God, but my personal Father in heaven sent me the home movie after he died to say, Danny, I couldn't tell you my whole life what I did for a living, but now I'm dead and the NDAs I have with the government don't hold anymore. And remember that UFO, Danny, that we saw when you were 14? That was me. That was me. And I swear to God, Dave, I swear to you, I know in my heart that my dad knew what that UFO was. How's that for a story?
That is one way to wake me up. I'll tell you that. I mean, the fact that you were able to channel your father and have him kind of
I think he channeled me,
Well, it could have been either or.
Yeah.
I mean, Daniel, have you ever been able to put the full pieces of your dad's puzzle together?
Well, pretty much what I just told you. And I did a 90-minute lecture at Contact in the Desert, and it was called Why I Believe My Father Worked on UFOs for the Military. It was everything I just told you, but I have slides and things that I embellished it with. But I know he was involved. I know he was. There's no question about it. He was a genius. He went to White Sands all the time. He read a paper that JFK wrote. He went to the Pentagon. When I was little, my dad was always at the Pentagon. He's like, where's Dad? Oh, he's in Washington. Okay. It's like my dad was like J. Allen Hynek, but J. Allen Hynek was like prominent and famous in front of the cameras, right? My dad was behind the scenes. No one knew who my dad was. My mother and I didn't know who my dad was. We didn't know, but I'm quite sure that he worked on this stuff. I'm convinced of it.
When your mom told you that he came home shaking and shivering, I'm sure that was more than a one-line sentence about that. Did she recall, everything, or could she recall just that conversation they had?
It really was that limited, David. She said he was pale. He was very upset. She knew something was wrong. They had only been married a short time. And she said, what's wrong? And she said, she looked at him and I think she said was a little teary, but all he said to her was, they took me deep. This is a key word, deep into the vaults at the base. Deep. Think about this, deep into the vaults at an Army base. What could be down there, right? There's not like, girly magazines down in the base, right? There's got to be some aliens or a UFO craft or a chunk of extraterrestrial technology. What could be down there that my dad would be so upset that he came home pale and shaking and almost crying? And he said, I saw something above top secret I could never tell you about or anyone as long as I live. And my mom said, that's all he said. And then he turned and went down into the bedroom. That was, my dad was a patriot. My dad was of the, he didn't fight in World War II. He was too young, but he was of that greatest, generation era.
Yes.
My dad, there was no way that my dad was going to tell me or my mother or the New York Times, hey, there's aliens, there's UFOs. I work on the UFO technology. It was not going to happen. My dad often said to me, Danny, I'm a patriot. I helped America win the Cold War. That's what he said to me many times. I helped America win the Cold War. But as far as that moment in time, Dave, that's all my mom could recall. But this is 60 something years ago is when that happened, and that's only a few years after Roswell. Think about that. Roswell was 47. Let's say this was 52. That's 5 years after Roswell. They showed my dad something that made him cry. I mean, my dad was a pretty hardy character. He didn't cry easy, my dad. I only saw him ever cry at his mother's funeral. So if my dad's crying, there's aliens or something going on down there. It has to be.
Well, here's the thing, too. That reaction that he had that you explained, I think you nailed it perfectly by using the Jackie Gleason story when he went and toured that UFO and alleged alien bodies back with Richard Nixon in the 70s.
Right.
Because he was very heavily into UFOs and was all geeked out. And then when President Nixon said, hey, do you want to go for a ride?
Right, exactly.
And apparently he was never the same. He almost became introverted, especially around the topic. I mean, this is a guy who built a house shaped like a UFO, prior to this.
That I did not know. I love Jackie Gleason. I mean, but I never heard that,
Yeah.
But what I've read, David, I'm sure you have too. Jackie Gleason's wife said, and I have several books. His wife, I think Marilyn was her name. She said Jackie was very, very upset. He didn't go out of the house for a few weeks, and he was never quite the same. Well, that sounds like my father's story. My mother said to me, Danny, your father was never the same. That's how profound, whatever he saw, whatever it was so profound. My mother said he was never the same. Now think about that. Is that crazy?
We've got about 2.5 minutes before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Daniel Harary is our guest tonight. I mean, your father putting you on this track and you having your own experiences with sightings and everything. I mean, you've been doing this a long time now, Dan. Did you ever think that this would be all-consuming in your life?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, I know we only have a couple of minutes right now, but real quick. So I wrote this book given to me from my father from heaven. I wrote the book. It got published in 2023, last year. I meet Stephen Bassett at a UFO convention. He and I become best friends. He's literally like my best friend. And then Stephen and I created last year, 1 year ago exactly, the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. If anyone out there is interested, HollywoodDisclosureAlliance.org. I'm the chairman. I created it. I thought of it. We're putting together UFO researchers and experts and disclosure advocates, plus Hollywood writers, producers, and directors. We have about 200 people. Oh, Dave Altman. Hey, David, how you doing, man? Dave Altman's my new best friend. It's caught on. When we have more time, Shirley MacLaine, Thomas Jane, Dee Wallace, Dave Foley, movie stars, Hollywood directors, writers, producers, Richard Dolan, Nick Pope, Steve Bassett, Danny Sheehan, Paul Hynek, Whitley Strieber, Travis Walton. Check out our members, David. Your head, well, my hair will turn white. Everybody's up there, and I'm going to put you up there too. So this book gave me the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, which then led to Contact in the Desert, which we can talk about. And I have my own podcast, and then I wrote my ghost book. So there's the setup for you.
Well, I think it's wonderful that you've taken all this initiative to try and bring, whatever information you can out, because we need more of that. We really do need more of that. We need more effort. We need more people who are digging in, and that's kind of the way I like to look at things, Dan. And we all have a little piece of that puzzle.
Exactly right.
That's and exactly if we turn over those pieces and bring them all together as a community, imagine what we could actually uncover. David, instead of, I can't tell you this, or source of a source of a source of a source told me that, but right. I can't tell you. You just got to trust me, bro. Dan, I'm going to get you to hold on right there.
Sure.
We are going to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Dan Harary is with us. You can get his book online, Amazon right now. My Paranormal Life, Supernatural Stories from a Hollywood Insider. Real tales of paranormal encounters with Daniel Harary when we return on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned, everybody. All right, we are clear. Excuse me. Yeah, we are clear. We've got about 5 minutes here, Dan.
No, I love what you just said, man, because everyone I've met in the last 2 years in ufology, I've belonged to MUFON Southern California for 20 years. So the MUFON people, the Contact in the Desert people, the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance people like yourself, right, George Norrie, and the podcasters and the Jimmy Church, all of us, we all have we all have a community. We're all being drawn like iron filings to a magnet. You know, listen, I was drawn to this. I mean, I went to get a deli sandwich. I went to get a deli sandwich, and my life changed. And I'm 100% immersed in ufology and paranormal now. It is like Dan, the universe. This is where you go now. It opened the door, and I just walked in because the door was open. But all of us have a piece of the puzzle, exactly like you just said.
You know, it's funny. I'll tell you a funny story from a few weeks ago. I was in my daytime office, and I was dealing with a client and his daughter. And his daughter, I mentioned the word Sasquatch.
I love Sasquatch.
And his daughter, who's about 23, she goes, "Oh, you're the guy who people talk about in town, who deals with all this weird and strange stuff." And she goes, "You know, people talk about you, right?" I said, yes, I do. I said, but you know what, young lady? Let me tell you something. Those people who are maybe making fun of me, the majority of them have all come to me privately to tell me about an encounter they've had that they can't explain, and they wonder what happened.
Interesting.
Yeah. And she just kind of gave me the typical early 20s eye roll on that. But she couldn't, it was just one of those things where what am I to care?
Well, so I saw the first UFO. I was 14 and forgot about it. Okay. But in 1996, I saw a UFO. In 2008, I had a profound UFO experience. And then, if you want to talk about this, David, the last night at Contact in the Desert, we did a CE5, and we saw a beautiful UFO appeared. I saw it crystal clear. I saw it with my own eyes. It was my fourth UFO. So I've seen 4 UFOs. None of my friends, in my like my civilian friends and relatives, right? Civilians, they're like, Dan, you're crazy. UFOs. What are you crazy? What are you doing? My mother goes, Danny, it's enough with the aliens, right? But now that I have the MUFON people and the Contact in the Desert people and my Hollywood Disclosure Alliance people and people like yourself, we're all sharing stories because we've all had these experiences, and we're like, this stuff's real. If you have the experience, you're like, okay, there's a lot more that I know. And so my civilian friends and relatives, they all love me, but they all think I'm batshit crazy because they've never seen a UFO. I've seen 4, right? I've seen 4. The last one I had tears in my eyes. It was gorgeous. It was magnificent. So I'm like, am I getting this embarrassment of riches of a paranormal with my ghosts and my poltergeists and all that stuff? And all my friends think, oh yeah, Dan's a great guy, but he's very eccentric. I'm not eccentric. I'm a businessman. I've raised kids. I live in Beverly Hills. I just happen to have had many, many paranormal things happen to me. They just happened unto me. I didn't really pursue them. They pursued me.
I totally hear you, my man.
I know you do.
Totally hear you.
It's why it's good to talk to someone like you. You understand.
If I could explain even a tenth of what I've experienced, I'd be a happy man. Wow. I would. I mean, it's a weird world out there that just keeps me hopping. Like to me, going to work every day and having to do my daytime job, I just look at that as what a waste of time.
You're paying bills. I mean, look, you're paying bills.
Well, yeah, especially with my $1.50 paycheck today, And I wish I was joking on that, but Literally, my paycheck today was $1.50.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, yeah, I'm dead serious.
Well, my last book royalty check was $7.46. So,
Yep.
brother, I'm right behind you.
Oh, I hear you, my man. We got about 17 seconds here, but quick thank you to W. Decker for the kicking off the super chat tonight. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And here we go, everybody. All right, let's say hello to each and every one of you for tuning us in on Spaced Out Radio this evening. My name is Dave Scott. I'm a guy who wears a lot of tinfoil, and I think you should too. I highly recommend it. Daniel Harary is our guest tonight on the show. We're getting into his paranormal life and much more. But first, I want to remind all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Author, researcher, lead of the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, a good guy named Daniel Harary is here talking about his latest book, My Paranormal Life, Supernatural Stories from a Hollywood Insider. Daniel, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks again, my friend. Anytime.
It's always good to have you here.
Thank you.
Now, you told some incredible stories about your father here, but one of the ones that got me is about channeling your grandfather. What happened here?
Okay, so that's the only time I've had a poltergeist, and it was a very intense experience. It was only A to Z. I'm going to say it was about 6 weeks, but I'll tell you that story because I have a book. There's a chapter in my new book, My Paranormal Life. There's a chapter, David, called my grandfather, the poltergeist. Okay, that's not a chapter you'd often hear about or think about. 20 years ago, I had a girlfriend. She worked for the TV show The Sopranos. I had this girlfriend, and we decided to move in together to a large, nice apartment here in Beverly Hills, up the street from where I live now. I still live in Beverly Hills. I'm not a millionaire. I'm not rich, but I have made money, but I do live in Beverly Hills. Anyway, so this girlfriend and I decided to move in together 2003, April 2003. She moved in first to this large, beautiful apartment, and then I moved in a few days later. So she's moved into this apartment first. She's inside this place by herself. There's 3 moving men outside on the street at the moving truck with her furniture. She's in the house just looking around and getting acclimated. Okay, her name was Branna. So David, she's walking around, and then she suddenly hears from behind her right shoulder, she hears the following. Joe? And she turns. Joe? She heard twice. Joe. She looks outside. Now, the moving men are outside. There is no one in the building. She calls me at work at my office. Danny, yeah? Someone just called Joe. She called in the apartment. Someone just called out Joe. I'm like, well, it's got the moving man, right? The moving man. No, she goes, there's no one here. I'm here by myself. There's no one here. It was right behind my shoulder. A man's voice said Joe twice, loud, with a question mark. It wasn't Joe. Joe? It was a question mark. Okay. That's clue number 1. Okay. Whatever. Right. A week later, she and I were watching TV. It's the only time I ever watched American Idol in my life. I remember it was the year with Clay Atkin and the large African-American guy, Reuben. And we're watching TV and we hear in the dining room like a thud. We hear like a plop and a thud sound. And I get up. What was that? Go into the dining room for a week because we had just moved in. And for a week, there was a large sack of kitchen items we had not yet put away. And on the top of this large sack was a kitchen sink drainer thing. You know, the drainer rack where you stack your dishes. This large white thing. It was on the top of this sack for a week. It had been there for a week. Okay, David. Now it's 3 feet in front of the package. It's 3 feet away and turned upside down by itself. So I look at that. I go, okay, well, there was no earthquake because I would have felt an earthquake. Okay, so how could that possibly have happened? No idea. Okay, these stories get much better. So I put it back in the thing. Now, here we go. A week later, I'm in this living room, this beautiful apartment. I'm in the living room. We had a really nice fireplace. I had just bought a cylinder. You know those decorative match sticks for a fireplace? The long matches, right? They're in like a canister, Dave, right? They come in a long tube, right?
Yes.
So I just bought a brand new tube of those for the fire. We had a beautiful fireplace. I opened the canister on the end, and instead of being a normal person and taking out 1 or 2 matches tenderly, I grab them. I pull out all 50. I pull out all 50 matches like this, really fast. What happens? They went up in flame. I'm holding a torch in my hand of 50 lit matches, and it, is a fire. It's 6 inches of like going to singe off my eyebrows, right? And what little hair I have, and I'm like this. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that had happened. And I swear to you, this is true. I'm not a bullshit artist, so everything I'm going to tell you tonight is true. I'm holding a torch in my hand, and I'm like, what did I just do? As that's happening, David, in the left corner of my left eye, I see from the dining room flying through the air, from the dining room, flying through the air, through the living room, dark blue, dark gray, huge, misty ball of smoke. Imagine Casper the Friendly Ghost without a face. I'm telling you, it was a ghost without a face. It was an entity, and it's flying from the dining room, flying really fast from the dining room into the living room. I'm seeing it come to me. It's coming. David, it grabbed the torch out of my hand because I felt it pull it out of my hand, and it threw the torch into the fireplace. This thing. I swear to God, that's a true story. Because I was like, what the hell is happening here? I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? Okay, so it saved me. It saved me from singeing off my eyebrows and my face. Okay, so that's the third part of the story. There are more parts to come. Next week, my girlfriend and I are sleeping, middle of the night, 3 a.m, middle of the night, in the bathroom next to our room. Crash, really loud, crash. I go in the living room. A very tall drinking glass of water, which had been all the way on the bathroom counter, by the sink, by the toothbrushes, way in the back. So something or someone had taken it, lifted it up, and threw it on the ground really hard because it was in a million. Didn't just like fall gently, million pieces of shard on the bathroom floor. We're like, what the hell is happening here? What is that? It didn't just fall. Somebody took a glass and smashed it, and there's no person in the house. Okay, now we jump further. At the time, well, I've been divorced a long time. I have 2 kids. In this apartment, my son had a room. My daughter had a room. On the weekends, they came to visit me. Uh-huh. So at this period of time, my son was 14. My daughter was 12, and they were visiting me. So middle of the night, my daughter's in her room, my son's in his room, me and the girlfriend are in the main room. Middle of the night, it's probably a Saturday night, 3 a.m. Suddenly, middle of the night, Dad, there's something in my room. My son. I jump out of bed. I go into my son's room. He's standing up, David, and he's shaking. It's like this, shaking. I turn on the light. I said, what's wrong, Jordan? He goes, someone was just knocking on my walls like this. Knock, 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 knock. And he showed me 360 all around the room. He said, Dad, every wall, including the glass of the TV screen, which I found very interesting. He said something or someone was just knocking all around my room. He goes, there's a person in this room, Dad. And he's shaking. Now, my son's not a liar, right? So I'm like, oh, boy, this isn't good. I said, okay, I understand. I believe you. It's 3 a.m. Let's try to go back to sleep. And everything will be fine tomorrow. Okay, fine. So I said, we'll leave your door open. We'll leave the door open. Go back. I'll leave my door open. Everything will be fine. Okay. Go back to sleep. Next morning, me, my girlfriend, and my daughter were down the hall in the kitchen making breakfast the next morning, making breakfast. Everything's fine. Suddenly, a very, very loud door slams, bang, really hard door slams. And my son goes, Dad, someone just closed my door. So I run down the hallway. And now, Dave, this is cool. I go to open the door with the knob, and something on the other side was pushing it against me. The door was not locked, but something didn't want me to open my son's door. My son is in bed. He did not slam the door. Okay, it's not an earthquake. So I'm like this. I'm like, oh, what the hell's happening? I open the door. My son is like, Dad, what are we going to do? And he's in his bed. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I'm like, that's it. That's it. I can't take it anymore. I said, let's get the Ouija board. Now, I don't recommend a Ouija board. I don't recommend it lightly, and I don't recommend it to everyone, but I happen to have a Ouija board. I said, family, we're going to figure out what's happening right now. I set up the Ouija board in the hallway, and it's me, my girlfriend, my son, and my daughter on the Ouija board. And the plastic planchette, the thing in the middle, those of you who have done it, it's the pointer thing. It's called a planchette. Me, my girlfriend, my son, my daughter, we had the planchette, 4 hands. Okay, here we go, David. Here we go. Now here's the apex of the story. I ran the thing. I said, is there a ghost in this house? Yes. Okay. What's your name? Joseph. And then, and then it goes back to rest. Joseph, here's this, and I get chills every time I tell you this story, I get chills. Joseph, where are you from? Syria. David, my grandfather Joseph was from Syria. My father's father was from Syria. He died in 1967. This is 2003. I get tears. I go, Grandpa Joe, is that you? Yes.
Wow.
Now I'm crying because I loved this guy, and he died when I was 11, right? I used to.
Right.
He taught me Hebrew. I mean, we were tight, man. I loved him. I cried when he died. Grandpa Joe, is that you? Yes, my Grandpa Joe. It's unbelievable. In Beverly Hills, no less, right? The guy's from Syria, and he lived his whole life in Brooklyn. Now he's in Beverly Hills as it goes. Okay. Grandpa Joe, why are you here? Jordan. Jordan is my son. My son's right there. Jordan, why do you want Jordan? To teach. Okay. What do you want to teach Jordan? Then, David, it wrote a sentence in Hebrew. He was prolific in Hebrew. He was the Orthodox Jewish cantor, my grandfather. He wrote in Hebrew a sentence that I had translated. I called my dentist and had him translate it in a moment. And the sentence was, in Hebrew, I am a stranger here. Well, that's pretty weird. And doesn't that sound like something that ghosts would say? I'm a stranger here? Like, I don't know where the hell I am. At this point, Dave, my girlfriend, my son, and my daughter, they're all crying. They're very, very upset because there's a ghost in the house. I'm upset because it's my grandfather, but I don't want my dead grandfather slamming doors and breaking glasses. I said, Grandpa Joe, and I'm crying. I said, Grandpa Joe, I loved you very much. With love and respect, please, I'm asking you, please, I need you to leave this house. You're scaring my family. Please go. And then the planchette went, yes. Okay, Dave, it went, yes. And then that was it. And that was it. And then I asked more questions. Nothing happened. I lived there for another year. Nothing at all happened ever again. So if that wasn't my Grandpa Joe, it was and then remember when my girlfriend moved in and she heard Joe on day one, Joe. Now, either my Grandpa Joe was announcing himself, or even better, another ghost in the apartment recognized him and said, Joe, is that you? Because it was a question mark. So I think my grandfather entered in when I moved in, and another ghost greeted him, Joe? Because it was like, if you were announcing yourself, you'd say, hi, I'm Dave, I'm here. You wouldn't say Dave. You wouldn't say Dave. So like whoever said Joe with the question mark, it was either my dead grandfather, didn't know where he was, or someone else was welcoming him. That's all I know, but that's the entirety of that story.
You're lucky you had a good Ouija board experience there. Because let me tell you, the last one that I had, we got chased out of the forest by Sasquatch.
I believe
Sasquatch
you.
don't like Ouija boards. Let me tell you that right now.
Ouija boards are scary. Yeah, because you can open portals that you don't want to. In my case, in this case, I was very lucky, and I loved my grandfather, but I don't need a ghost in my house smashing glasses and slamming doors. So I asked him, I said, with love and respect, please leave. And he did. So the Ouija, and then actually, you know what, Dave? The next day, my daughter goes, Dad, please throw that away. Please throw it away. I don't want it in the house. So I kind of didn't want to. And then my son said, oh, yeah, Dad, you have to throw the Ouija board away. So I threw it away.
Yeah. My craziest Ouija board story was back in 2013, where we were on a spirit board and it wanted to communicate with me. And it told me that in 9 weeks, I was going to win $43 million lottery. So I'm like, whatever.
Okay.
I'm like, whatever. 9 weeks later, like if you know the Canadian lottery system, it only goes up by 2, 5, or 10.
Okay.
So to get a weird number like 43 million was
impossible.
Odd. And sure enough, 9 weeks later, the lottery is $43 million. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Tell me you bought a ticket.
Oh, I bought the ticket. Excuse me. I bought the ticket. And then, Daniel, I forgot about the ticket. We go back to the house that night with our friends who have the spirit board. We hop back on there. And the board has a message for me. And the board spells out, congratulations.
Are you serious?
And I'm like, okay, that's great. The lottery ticket. So I run out my vehicle. I got the lottery ticket in my wallet. And I pull up the numbers on my phone. And I don't have a single number.
But the ghost thought you did.
And I went back in there and I just went off, like, do you think it's okay to play with my life like that? I'm sorry. We feel bad. All this kind of stuff. I was mad, man. I was totally mad because how does a Ouija board pick out 9 weeks previous that the lottery is going to be in 9 weeks at 43 million? It could have been any number. Any number.
You got punked. You got punked by a poltergeist.
Big time.
That's one of the funniest. That's one of the funniest stories I've ever heard. It's fantastic. I love that story.
Yeah, I'm still upset about that.
Love it so much. You know what would have been funny, David, if you had like of the digits on the ticket, like one digit was like one off, and then the Ouija board said, "Oops, sorry," or something.
Oh no! What an insult, though. So it's funny because I've had people try to justify it, like, well, maybe in another dimension you won the lottery that day. Well, that dimension doesn't do anything for me here.
Doesn't pay my bills.
Doesn't do anything because I just had a paycheck of $1.50 today, and I'm telling you, I would have loved to have added that $1.50 to my $40 million in the bank account, and now I have $3 million and $150, right?
God, it's just a wonderful story. I love it so much. I love that story. So that's my only story ever with the Ouija board. But certainly, look, Dave, I mean, don't you think there was my grandfather? I mean, who was it? A ghost pretending to be my grandfather? I mean, like, was it God? I mean, Syria. Who knew my grandfather was from Syria? Well, I did. But the other three people sitting with the planchette, they didn't write Syria. This thing wrote Syria. I literally couldn't believe when I saw Syria. That's him. I mean, of course it's him. Who else could it be? It was him, right?
Right.
The
I totally agree with you. I think it was.
the
I think it
tail
was.
end of the story is I told my dad came to visit me shortly after this, and I said, Dad, I have a crazy story, and I told him the whole story because it was his about his father, my father's father. And he goes, Danny, if I believed in ghosts, I would say my father was a ghost in your house, but I don't believe in ghosts. That's what he said. He didn't buy the story.
We have about 4 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Daniel Harary is our guest tonight. His book, My Paranormal Life, Supernatural Stories from a Hollywood Insider, can be found on Amazon right now. Dan, you involve the family in this one, but when you use the word paranormal, you're using it as an umbrella term to everything weird and strange, UFOs and alien encounters and everything. Why do you use it as an umbrella term?
It was a catchphrase. Over the last 2-3 years, when I had a few minutes of spare time, I would sit with myself and think, God, when I was 5, I fell off a song. I got to tell you, on the other side of this story break, David, I have to tell you about my gargoyle. I have to tell you the story about the gargoyle because that's I've known about it my whole life. I've only ever told 1 or 2 people ever, and then I read it in the book, and everyone's asking me, "You met a gargoyle?" UFOs. My dad visited me after he passed a number of times. The grandfather story that I just told you, gargoyle saved my life when I was 5 years old. We'll do that on the other side of this break. I've heard voices in the right ear, Dave, quite a few times in my life. It's always a male voice, and it talks right into this ear. And every time that voice has spoken to me, whatever it told me to do, I did, and then it came true. It was I don't know if it's a spirit guide or an angel or something. I have a fantastic story about how a voice in a chandelier changed my life. Remind me to do that one because that's one of my greatest hits. A voice in a chandelier literally changed my life, and dramatically. I have to do that one. So I was like, these are all supernatural or paranormal. I didn't know that's why I put supernatural stories as a subtitle. I didn't know to go to paranormal or supernatural. So they're both. It's my paranormal life, supernatural stories from a Hollywood insider. My publisher insisted I have the word Hollywood on the cover because he loves all things Hollywood. So I wasn't going to put that part in there. But to answer your question, it's just a catch-all. I didn't know what else. UFOs, to me, UFOs, ghosts, poltergeists, spirit voices, incredible coincidences. When I was in college, I was a doppelganger of some other person. Women used to come up to me for a year and think I was a different person for a year. And I'm like, who is this other guy? I was a doppelganger. So it's a catch-all umbrella phrase for many different weird, shitty things that have happened to me, I guess.
No, I hear you there, my man. I hear you there. I mean, we have to try and figure out answers. With about a minute to go here, do you think you'll ever get your answers? Do you think that you'll ever feel satisfied with what you learn? Is there a satisfaction?
A couple things. The unfortunate thing really is, I think until we all die, I really do think when we all die, we learn all things and we're told all things. And I'll give you an example. After my dad died, he came into my room a number of times. Okay. But then after that, I started to dream about him vividly for weeks and weeks and weeks, vividly. And in one of the dreams, he comes into my house. He walks right up to me, and this is a few weeks after he died. He died at 86, and he was like a skeleton man. In the dream, he's 40. He's handsome. He's healthy, tan. He has a black mustache. He's healthy. I go, Dad, is that you? He goes, yeah. I go, God, you look great. He goes, thank you very much. And then I go, Dad, what are you doing here? You're dead. In the dream, Dave, you're dead. And my dad said, I know, but I wish I wasn't.
Daniel Harary, hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Everybody stay tuned. This
is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear. And Dan, I'm going to put you back in the green room for a few minutes.
Sure.
And I'm just going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Okay.
Sure, of course.
All right. We got about 5 minutes. Be right back, everybody. still warm in here. That's cool. Yeah. All right. Let's bring Dan back on. Danny, how are you?
Hello there. I am here.
I'm going to ask a favor of you, bud, if you don't mind.
Sure, of course. Whatever you want.
Can you not use the word shit or shitty?
Sorry.
Because I can't use those on the radio.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that would be good.
It slipped out. I
It
apologize.
slips out for me every now and again, too.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Hey, a big thank you to everybody for tuning us on in last week and coming in this week. And thank you to our super chatters tonight, W. Decker and Dutch Hank. We really appreciate the love. Don't forget that after this week, we will be going on hiatus for 2 weeks, including Rob G's show, as we are doing a bunch of work behind the scenes on SOR. And we want to make sure that we come back big and strong for you in a couple weeks' time. Don't worry. We'll figure something out for you guys to play and go from there. Do me a favor, everybody. Here comes hour number 2. Get ready. All right, here comes hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Let's get to the Desert Clam, who has set the password for tonight. Now, if I can find it, it'll be just perfect. There it is. Narcohypnia. Narcohypnia is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. All right, Daniel Harary is with us tonight on the big show, and we are talking about his brand new book, My Paranormal Life, Supernatural Stories from a Hollywood Insider. And you can get it on Amazon right now. So make sure you do to add it to your collection. Dan, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, David. Thanks very much.
Gargoyles. You had what happened to you with a gargoyle?
It's the craziest. Well, I've had some crazy stories. In retrospect, it's probably the most profoundly weird one. And I've remembered this story vividly my entire life. It's been in the back of my head my entire life. But for whatever reason, I never really told too many people, if anyone, about it. It's the first chapter in my new book, and the first chapter is called My Gargoyle. Is the name of chapter 1, My Gargoyle. When I was 5 years old, I lived with my parents in a town near Asbury Park, New Jersey, is where I'm from. And everyone's heard of Asbury Park because Bruce Springsteen got famous from being in Asbury Park. And I worked with Bruce Springsteen before he was famous, which is a whole nother story. So I'm 5 years old, 1961, in the house near Asbury Park. And there were 2 little girls that lived across the street from us who used to knock on the door. They were a little older than me. They were sisters, and they used to knock on the door and to ask my mom if I could come out and play with them. Kathy and Lizzie. I remember their names very clearly, Kathy and Lizzie. So they knocked on the door. My mom said, yeah, you can go out and play. So me, Kathy, Lizzie, we used to climb trees and fences. That's what we did. We climbed things. And I remember they taught me how to climb trees. So this one particular day, Dave, we went a block down the street from my parents' house, and around the corner was a little mini mall shopping center with a parking lot. And in the parking lot was had to be a 30-foot tall billboard sign promoting the drugstore there. So there's a billboard sign in this parking lot. So me and these 2 little girls, we go down to the sign. Now, inside, from behind the sign, there was a wooden skeleton lattice that held up the billboard sign. So, the billboard sign is facing the street where the cars are going, buy drugs here. It's a drugstore. And behind it is a wooden skeleton. So me and these two girls were climbing up inside this skeleton of this billboard. And I remember this like I'm looking at my hand. This is how vivid this memory is. I'm 5. We're climbing. It had to be 3 stories. It had to be 20 feet, 25, 30 feet. It had to be. It's a billboard sign. So we're climbing up, me and these 2 little girls. Along the way, Dave, as I'm getting closer to the top of the sign, I look up, I see my hand. I saw my hands. My hands just like slipped. They slipped off this beam of wood that I was holding. They slipped. And I go, uh-oh. And now I go onto my back, I'm onto my back in the air, and I'm falling straight down from a sign. And these 2 little girls are up on the sign, and they're looking at me, and they're like, oh, like they're screaming, right? David, I'm falling in slow motion. Honest to God, I'm falling through the air, looking at the sky in slow motion. And I'm thinking in my little brain, this isn't going to be very good. That's all I've been thinking. Cut to, now I have missing time. I don't know if it's a minute, an hour, or 3 hours. I have no idea, but I have missing time. I wake up 2 blocks away from the sign in an empty house. In a house where no one was home. A furnished house, but no one was home. I'm on a couch in a house 2 blocks from the sign. No one is home. I'm laying there. I wake up. I sit up. I look around. I said, hello, is anyone here? No one was home. And I'm thinking, I don't know where I am. I don't know how I got here. I have no idea what happened to me. I stand up from the couch. I go to leave this house, and as God is my witness, I'm looking at the front door. There's a 7-foot tall cryptid being. There's a being at the door, Dave. Now, I think it's 7 feet tall, white chocolate color. The legs, it had 2 legs, it was not human, 2 legs and the torso of a bull, like 2 legs and torso of a bull. And then the upper body had wings on the shoulders, but the wings had been cut off like with a hedge clipper. So there were bony stumps where the wings would have been. Like this creature's wings had been cut off. Because I remember clearly, I saw this bony stumps. And then I look up and I see this creature had the head of a bull. There's a bull's head. So I'm looking at this thing. It's at the front door. It's looking at me. It's wanting to leave. So I'm looking at its back. It turns its head, Dave, over its right shoulder, and it goes like this. Snorts at me. It snorted at me. And I'm thinking, I look and I go, whatever that is, that doesn't like me very much. That's not a nice thing. And then it either walked through the screen door, or perhaps it dissipated. I don't remember, but it went away. And then I watched it, and then I'm like, oh, I guess I should go back to mommy's house. So I went outside, I looked around, I realized where I was, and my mom's house was 2 blocks down to the left. That's the whole story. What are the ramifications? Well, did I die? I fell 30 feet on my back at the age of 5. Now, did I die? I have no idea. Did I pass out and somebody saved me? I have no idea how I got to that house. And the 2 little girls didn't take me to the house. And what the hell was that creature? Now, a gargoyle, if you study gargoyles, they protect buildings and people within finite areas of space. So when I told my daughter the story last year, my daughter said, Dad, I think that was a gargoyle. And I looked it up, and gargoyles protect people and buildings within a certain perimeter of space. Now, a side note, these 2 little girls that I was with were very strict Catholics. They were hardcore. I was a little Jewish boy. These were Catholic girls. My daughter said, Dad, maybe you were dead on the ground. These girls climbed down, prayed over you, like, Jesus, dear baby Jesus, please help our little friend Danny. Please bring him back. We didn't mean him to be killed. And they prayed over me, and they summoned a gargoyle. The gargoyle lifted me up. This is what I'm thinking. Brought me 2 blocks away to this house, and then tried to sneak out quietly. But I woke up before he left the building. You tell me what that is. I couldn't tell you, but I'm telling you the truth. My mother thinks it's a dream. It's the first memory I have in my life. Very, very vivid memory. I don't know.
I don't even know what that is.
I have no idea what that is, man. It was like half angel. It was like half of an angel squished into like a standing bull's body. It was just the weirdest cryptid that God probably ever made, whatever the hell it was. But in my gut, David, I'm telling you what I think. In my gut, I believe that this thing carried me from where the sign was. Had to have carried me into that home, or somehow got me there. It's missing time. It's absolutely missing time. I do not remember from being in the air to waking up on the couch. I do not remember one thing in between. Now, was it 5 minutes? Was it an hour? No idea. It's a good story. It makes for a good story.
Okay,
You tell me. You tell me. I mean, what do you think that was?
I'm at a loss for words. I'm at a lot. I haven't seen anything that strange. I haven't seen anything that strange at all.
Well, that's my entree into my paranormal life. That's the first thing. After that, many years later, but then I'm starting to hear voices. I'm seeing UFOs. Ghosts are coming. David, I think perhaps whatever that experience was when I fell off the sign, I believe that it opened this body that I have in this life to exterior supernatural things coming into me, because none of my friends, like I said earlier, or my relatives, I'm the only one of my kind in my entire family or friends. I have these paranormal things that happen to me. Now, did I die at 5 and this creature brought me back to life? And that's why I have a thing open to the other side. Maybe, honest to God, maybe. I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know how you'd find out. No idea.
Do you think, Dan, in situations like that it's just for you and you alone to have an encounter with something odd? I've often wondered that, because, I mean, look, even in UFO experiences, you and I could be standing together, have a beautiful sighting, but we've seen two different things happen.
Well, that kind of is what happened with my dad, right? When I saw the UFO with my dad, I was jumping up and down going, Dad, look, it's Star Trek. Isn't this great? Is it like, I'm so happy. I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And my dad's like, I need to buy lettuce at the supermarket. I forgot. I got to get my car washed. My dad was bored. So, okay. So my dad and I saw the same thing. We had two different reactions, but that's an extreme case. But yeah, when there's a car accident and police come and they interview all the witnesses and all, right? Oh, it was a red jacket and a blue car and the guy had a purple shirt. No. It was a purple car with a green jacket and the yellow sneakers. People see, do you know how many people? Okay. When Lee Harvey Oswald shot Officer J.D. Tippit, which I'm a huge JFK assassination person, when that happened and he ran away, there's, I think, a dozen neighbors that saw different things, different shooters, different people. Some saw tall, some saw short, some saw fat, some saw thin, some saw a guy with a suit and a hat. Some people saw a guy with a T-shirt. They all saw something different. So I think, to answer your question, I think it's human nature to we don't all experience the same thing at the same time.
I don't know. You've had a number of UFO sightings over the years. What's a close encounter that you would like to share with us?
I'll do all four. The first one was with my dad, and we discussed that with the V. We discussed that in length. I believe now that was a military UFO drone that my father had a hand in, using reverse engineering alien technology. I'm sure, 100% sure, because my dad knew what that was. So that was the first one. That's 1970. The second UFO I ever saw was in 1996. My son turned 8. At this point, I had been married and divorced, and my kids were now 8 and 6. And my ex-wife moved out to Lancaster, California, which is near Edwards Air Force Base. So for my son's 8th birthday, May 96, he wanted a telescope for his birthday. He was a little science kid. So I got him a telescope. We spent the evening in the backyard there in Lancaster. And in Lancaster, it's the high desert. It's near Palm Springs. And you see everything, the stars. There's no smog. There's no city lights. You see crystal clear up in the sky. So through the telescope, you see Saturn and Mars and the moon and all the fun things you see with a telescope. Then when we were going to go in the house, suddenly there's a bright white, yellow, egg-shaped light comes on in the right part of the sky, pretty high up, comes on, and then it travels very, very fast across the entirety of the sky, from the right to the left of the sky, Dave, really fast and really bright. And I said to my son, Jordan, look, there's a satellite. Isn't that cool? That's a satellite. Definitely a satellite. It was really cool. So Dave, it goes across the sky, then it stops in place for 30 seconds. Now, I don't think a satellite can stop in place, right, for 30 seconds. It stopped. And I thought to myself, oh my God, that satellite's going to plummet to Earth. It's going to fall. It has to. 30 seconds later, it reverses course and it goes back all the way, same straight line it came from, all the way back across. And then it vanished. Now, I've told that story all over the world. Jimmy Church said, Dan, you were by Edwards Air Force Base. They test military UFOs there all the time. He goes, that's what that was. And I'm thinking, yeah, it had to be. It had to be. There was either a drone or an extraterrestrial craft of some kind. It wasn't a plane or a helicopter, comet, asteroid, meteor. What can stop in place for 30 seconds and then reverse course? Nothing. So that was a cool one, right? I mean, that was a cool, interesting one. The next one, the third one, is the most profound one. I'll do this one next. In 2008, do you know James Gilliland?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever met him?
I've interviewed him.
Okay. Have you?
We talked a number of years ago. The funny part about James is for people who don't know, he's the owner of E-City Ranch in South Central Washington State. And James is just a great character, a great man, but he's not a good interview. You ask him, hey James, what's going on down there? Oh, we got some stuff going on.
Yeah, he's like the king of understatement. Yeah. Okay, so in the summer of 2008, I had joined MUFON LA a couple of years earlier, and I had a girlfriend with me named Barbara. She was a TV writer. So we went to a MUFON meeting, summer of 2008. James Gilliland is the guest speaker at this MUFON meeting, and he's like, "Hey everyone, I own E-City Ranch in Washington State. It's at the base of Mount Adams." And then, David, he's showing, an hour of the best UFO films and videos that you could ever want to see in your life. Crystal clear, not these fuzzy, horrible, like, is that, if you squint and stand on your head, you could maybe see a UFO. There's UFO, every shape, every color, they're flying around. And I'm just going, oh my God. And he goes, yeah, we're a major UFO hotspot. The American Indians who used to live there used to call Mount Adams the mountain of shining lights. And people from NASA come, people from the FBI come, people from the government, military, and scientists come all the time. And he's like very, like you said, he's like very nonchalant. Yeah, NASA, yeah, they come all the time. The king of understanding. So he goes, this July 4th, 2008, July 4th weekend, 2008, I'm going to have a 3-day open house at the E-City Ranch. Why don't you all come? This is to the MUFON group that I'm in. Why don't you come? So I go to my girlfriend, Barbara, can we go? Barbara, can we go? I want to see UFOs. Can we go? Okay, I'll go. I schlepped my girlfriend. So we go up to Washington State. We stayed at a B&B, whatever it's called. And then for 3 days, July 4th weekend, 2008, for 3 days, David, during the days, he had a large white tent set up on his property. And under the tent, he had, Nick Pope, I think, was there. William Henry, I remember, was there. They had panels and lectures. Think of, it was Contact in the Desert, mini. It was like little mini me, Contact in the Desert. They had films, they had panels, they had lectures, a couple of hours each day under a little white tent, about 200 people total. And they had lunch. And then at night, they built a bonfire out on the field. Now, E-City Ranch, because I spent 3 days there, it's like 150 acres of absolutely nothing. It's like weeds, trees on the perimeter, James's little house, and Mount Adams in the distance. That's all it is. It's not like Disneyland. There's nothing there. It's nothing there at all. So we did a bonfire every night. People played guitars and tambourines, and girls are dancing around the bonfire. And we're looking up. We're sky watching. So the Friday of that weekend, lectures, film, seminars during the day, bonfire at night, guitars, singing, dancing, looking up at the sky, hours and hours and hours and hours. Friday, absolutely nothing. Saturday, lectures, film, seminars, bonfire, looking up at the night, hours and hours. And I had one of those video cameras, those old school cameras. Remember, with the VHS tape in there? Remember that you had to put the VHS tape in, a heavy one. So I had this heavy thing, and I'm like, come on, UFO. I'm ready for you. So, 5-6 hours, you look up, your neck hurts. You know this. When you look up after a while, your neck really hurts. So nothing. Okay. The last day was Sunday. Lectures, film, seminars during the day, bonfire, guitars at night, looking up, hours and 2.5 hours, looking up the last night, looking up. Nothing is happening. Here's where the story gets good. I reach in my pocket, I pull out my car keys. There's 200 cars on the lot here. I have my car keys in my hand, Dave, like this. I had my car keys. I go, Barbara, if we leave right now, we can beat the rush. I swear to guys, it's what I just said, right? Right after I said that, a huge black craft from nowhere, from behind the trees, huge black craft comes over our heads, blocks out the sky, and it's hovering 300, 400, 500 feet above 200 people, directly above us. It's just hovering. Now stopped. And I look up, I said out loud, what the hell is that thing? That's what I said. Then in the middle of this thing was a large glass crystal bulb, and it turned on in the middle. And it was very bright, dark emerald green light in the bulb. Beautiful emerald green, like the Wizard of Oz. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. Then that light then beamed down, David, over 200 people in light, and it was like Morse code. It was like this: light, 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 green, beautiful green. All of us were bathed. In the X-Files, when they're all looking up and they're in white light, I'm in green light for whatever reason. I'm in emerald green light. And it's the most magnificent thing I ever saw. And I'm crying. And I'm thinking, wow, they're communicating. And here's the message I got. And it wasn't in my ear, it wasn't in my brain, but I got a message. I have it in my heart to this day. I still feel it, honest to God. Hello, we're here. Sorry, it took us so long. We know you've been waiting for us. We got delayed. We love you. Don't be afraid. Everything's cool. Love one another. Be kind to planet Earth. We have to go now. We can't stay long. We'll see you another time. But don't be afraid of us, and have a lovely evening, whatever it is. And then the light turned off. We're in the light maybe a minute and a half of being, all of us are bathed in this light. Then the light goes back into the glass bulb. Then it turns off. Then the craft slowly moves away. And then bang, zoom, David, goes over Mount Adams and it disappears. We're all crying. Crying. And that was 2008. And to this day, honest to God, I feel it in my heart. It was a profound thing. And it made me convinced that was not a Chinese weather balloon. Okay. Whatever that was, man. That was them.
Dan, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. And man, the stories are going to continue in the next half hour. Dan, you've got us all glued right to everything that you were saying, my man. And this is why we love having you on Spaced Out Radio. You're a great storyteller. Dan's latest book, My Paranormal Life, Supernatural Stories from a Hollywood Insider. You can get it on Amazon. We'll be right back, everybody.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, Dan, we are clear. We've got about 5 minutes here, bud. This is great.
Thank you. Yeah, I love being on your show. It's so much fun.
Well, thank you. We love having you, man.
Thank you. Thank you. We should do the chandelier story because that's a really good one. I really do enjoy that one. We can do my father.
Oh, I accidentally muted you. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Sorry.
Okay. Chandelier, my father the ghost, and let's see what else. We have half hour left, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get to the UFO I saw at Contact in the Desert. That was a month ago. That's a good one.
Yes, for sure.
I think those 3 stories that will take us through the end.
No problem.
You ever get down to LA? I'll buy you a pastrami sandwich.
I'm down for a pastrami sandwich. That's for sure.
Come down, man. I'll treat you.
Oh, I like a good pastrami sandwich. You know what? We have this this ratty old grocery store here in our town,
Right?
and they have the best deli.
Yeah.
They do, and I every time I go there, I order a pastrami and Swiss cheese sandwich with lettuce, tomato, and onions.
Please tell me you don't put mayo on there, do you?
I do put mayo on there.
Oh, Dave, you're so not Jewish.
I'm Ukrainian.
I
mayo
had
on everything.
on July 4th, I spent the day in LA with Stephen Bassett. The day. And we go to a deli for breakfast, and he gets this big effing pastrami sandwich, and he puts mayonnaise on it. And I stopped him. I said, Stephen, what the hell are you doing? He goes, I'm eating my sandwich. I said, get that mayonnaise off of there. You need deli mustard. What's wrong with you? And I yelled at him. And then the waiter came, looked at him, and the waiter shook his head. He goes, you're putting mayonnaise on pastrami? He goes, no. That's not the Jewish way, Dave. I'm just telling you, it's not the Jewish way. Deli mustard. Try it. You got to try it. Just try it.
Well, the only mustard they have there is like French's.
French's is boring. You need. How about Gouldens? Go for Gouldens. That's spicy. Try that one. That'll work. You got to have spicy mustard and pastrami. That's how God made the world go round.
Yeah, that's making me hungry.
Me too. I'm actually hungry too.
Dinner tonight.
Please promise me you'll try it. You got to try it.
I will, 100%.
Yeah, mayo. No. Mayo is for tuna fish, a burger. Mayo. You don't put mayo on a pastrami. Turkey sandwich is good with mayo. Horseradish mustard. Yeah, that's good.
One second. I just have to.
Corned beef and cabbage. That's good. Yeah, that's good. Just not mayonnaise. That's just not right.
I'd put cabbage on mine. Oh, yeah, I'd totally put cabbage on mine.
Yeah, cabbage is good.
Okay, we got to stop talking food. I had like raw vegetables for dinner tonight.
What did you have for dinner?
Raw vegetables.
Oh, you must be starving.
Yeah, but you know what? I was craving them. That's like 2 nights in a row I've been craving raw vegetables. So that's what I had for dinner.
It's good to listen to your body, right? Your body knows.
Yeah. Lord knows my body really wants Taco Bell, but there is no Taco Bell driving distance here.
I love Taco Bell. Hi, Chris. I go to Cantor's all the time.
Big thank you tonight to Dave, Dutch Hank, And W. Decker Area 53 for the super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate the love and support, everybody. Don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. We're going to be adding some new stuff very soon to tantalize your fashion senses. Yeah, I just got to make it up. I'm just teasing. Great. I'm going to make them up. But hey, don't worry. It's coming. That's all I can say. Yes. Let's go. Let's just do the show. All right, we're past the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in all around the world. I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio or catch us on any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Dan Harary, brand new book out on Amazon. My Paranormal Life, Supernatural Stories from a Hollywood Insider. Dan, you got a story about a weird chandelier. A haunted chandelier. I didn't know a chandelier could be haunted.
I don't know that it was haunted, but a chandelier changed my life, and in a way that it has still profoundly changed my life for the better. I'll tell you that story. So I've been a Hollywood publicist. This year, I've been a Hollywood publicist for 40 years. 40 years. My company called Asbury PR Agency is almost 28 years. So out of 40, I've had my own business for 28. But in the first 12 years, when I was out here, I worked for Columbia Pictures. I worked for the American Film Institute. Believe it or not, I worked for Hugh Hefner at the Playboy TV channel. And I worked for two very big PR firms in those first 12 years. I represented Jay Leno when he got the Tonight Show. I mean, my first 12 years were my training ground for my next 28, where I'm at now. So during the 12-year era, I worked for a boss for 7 years in there. He owned a very successful Hollywood PR firm. I hated this guy, Dave. He was not a nice man to me. He mistreated me. He almost hit me a few times. He yelled at me. Meanwhile, I'm bringing him hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in business. And he was very, very not nice to me. And if we were on USA Radio, I could probably use a few different better words. So this guy was very, very mean to me for 7 years. Okay. In the 7th year that I worked for him, I turned the age of 40. I turned 40 during that year, the 7th year, with this guy. He goes, Dan, I need you to meet me at the Four Seasons Hotel in Beverly Hills. We're going to have a very important new business meeting. Make sure you wear your little suit with your little tie. And I wanted to kill the guy because to this day, I hate wearing suits and ties. Yes, okay. So I dress up in my little monkey suit. I meet the guy at the Four Seasons Hotel in Beverly Hills in the dining area. And then he has these two TV executives, these two heavyweight TV executives sit down, and we're pitching these two TV guys for a new business. And my boss, I'm a genius, and you should hire me. And I've invented this and that. And I'm just taking my little notes, and I'm being miserable. And I'm thinking, I'm 40 years old. I hate this guy's guts. He's such a BS artist. Why am I here? Okay, so that's the setting. I'm taking my little notes with my little suit. I'm saying no words. My boss, who's just an a-hole, is just going on and on and on about how great he is. And these two people are being impressed by this a-hole, okay? So I'm sitting there taking notes, being miserable. Okay, you ready? The chandelier above me to the left in the Four Seasons Hotel in Beverly Hills. Huge chandelier. I'm just minding my own business. Dan, and Dave, I swear to you, this is a true story. I'm telling you, I swear to God. I look up like this. Start your own business. What? Start your own business. I swear to God on my daughter's life, this is a true story. It was God talking to Moses on Mount Sinai, Dave. I look up at the chandelier. I'm like, oh my God. I heard it as loud as I just did it. Now, no one else heard it. It was for me. Now,
Right.
was that God? I don't know. Was it an angelic spirit guide I have? Probably. Was it an angel? Or was it my dead grandfather? You tell me. But I swear to God that happened. I swear to you that's a true story. Dan, start your own business. Loud and clear like that from the chandelier. So now I'm at this meeting. My heart's beating fast. My hands are shaking. I have this little notepad. I'm taking notes for this, guy. I turn the page, David, and I write down all the clients that I had that I was bringing into his business. I was getting 10% of my own money, and he was getting 90% of my money, right? And I worked for him for 7.5 years. I'm writing down, I go, if all my clients, if I worked from home in my underwear and had the same exact clients doing the same exact work I've been doing for the last 12 years, I'd be a millionaire. I'm like, I'd be wealthy. Okay. So I wrote it down. I wish I could find that piece of paper because that piece of paper changed my life. So I wrote that down. I look and I start laughing. And my boss goes, what's going on? I stand up in the middle of a meeting, right? It's a pitch meeting. I stand up. I start laughing. My boss goes, what's going on? I go, I have to leave now. I get up in the middle of the meeting. I went home. In the middle of a meeting, I just went home. It was the greatest day of my entire professional life. It really was. I go home. I call every one of my clients that I had had for years that I was getting 10% of, and he was getting 90% of for years. Every single one of my clients said, Dan, I'd follow you to Botswana. Doesn't matter where you work. You're our guy. You're my guy. You go, I go. So Dave, I figured out on paper, $500,000. Okay. Now this guy was paying me 80 grand a year, 80. And that was at the most that I ever made with him. The next year I made $360,000. The year after that, I made $500,000 because the chandelier told me, and then I started my own business and it's been 28 years. I never would have had the balls to start my own business if that chandelier, I swear to you, had not spoken unto me. It changed my entire life. I moved to Beverly Hills. I had money. I sent 2 kids through college. I'm driving a Mercedes. It changed my life. Is that just, you tell me if that's not paranormal. I don't know what that is, but that certainly is above the norm. I mean, who spoke to me? God? God? I don't know.
You have no idea the power of what you just said. And, because I am thinking about making a daytime career change.
Okay.
And
listen to the voice. My voices are external. My voices seem to be
I will
external.
be honest with you. I'm so weirded out by you saying this right now because literally a half an hour before this show started,
yes,
I'm having that conversation with a friend of mine. And, you always look, the one thing that I always tell people is look for the little signs. Look for those little moments that you're like, okay, that's a message. This was a message to me, Dan. This was a message to me.
Tell me, what's the message? Tell me.
Well, the message is continue on the path. And to be blunt, I'm actually writing up a letter of intent tomorrow.
Wow. For a new business?
For a business that I want to get into.
Do it, David. Do it. Because if
what I said, I just got paid $1.50 today.
Yeah, I think that's where you got to $1.50. That's the time to move on. That's when you want to. That's when you want to move on.
I love synchronicities. I'm like goosebumping here right now. I gotta listen to I gotta find I don't have a chandelier here. Yeah, I got to find a light here that will speak to me.
In my book, My Paranormal Life, the chandelier photo. I went there last year to take the picture of it's me pointing to the chandelier. So my famous chandelier, it's in my book. I have photos in this book. That's one of them. Thank God for that chandelier. That chandelier sent through 2 kids to college, and it supported my ex-wife for 25 years. It gave me a very good living and helped me support my mom. So thank God for that. I'm telling you, man, that chandelier, it saved me. It saved me. Look at all these wonderful comments in the comment section. Everyone wants. I want that chandelier. I need a chandelier. I'll tell you where it is. A Four Seasons Hotel on Tahiti Drive in Beverly Hills. It's my lucky chandelier.
Oh my goodness, Dan. Let's shift gears here because I contacted the desert this year. You had an incredible CE5 moment.
So we've done the 3 earlier UFOs, and thank you for giving me the time. 1970 with my dad, 1996 with my son, and that's kind of cool, by the way. I should have pointed that out. I saw a UFO with my dad when I was little. 26 years later, I saw a UFO with my son when he was little. That's kind of cool. And then the one in 2008 with the emerald green light. Okay, fine. Because I became the head of the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, I met a lot of people, including Steve Bassett. Steve Bassett introduced me to Ron Janix, great guy. Ron Janix is the owner of Contact in the Desert. He's become a good friend of mine. So he hired me to be the publicist this past Contact in the Desert. I was the publicist there. In addition to being the publicist, I was also running the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance booth. And at the booth, we had Bassett, we had Nick Pope, we had Dave Foley, Thomas Jane, Dee Wallace, Bassett was there, Katie Page was there. A lot of UFO notables were at the booth. I also hosted a panel for HDA, and I did a 90-minute lecture called Why I Believe My Father Worked for UFOs for the Military. So I was very busy at Contact. On the last night of Contact, June 1st, it was a Sunday night, June 1st, this year, a month ago, there was a CE5 event, and it was produced by two good friends of mine, Serena DC and Michael Mazzola. They're both very well-known UFO documentary filmmakers. Mazzola did Unacknowledged and CE5 movies with Stephen Greer. So they hosted a CE5. And if anyone doesn't know what a CE5 is, it's people going outside, looking up into the sky, holding hands, sending love and good vibrations and good wishes and opening your heart and your mind so that our space brothers, whoever they are, light people, will contact us. That's what CE5 is. Now, I was kind of skeptical, to be honest, but Mazzola is a friend of mine. He goes, Dan, you're coming to CE5, right? I go, yeah, okay. I was tired. I was going to go to sleep. No, yeah, you got to go. You got to go. Okay, fine, Michael, I'll go. So 200 people holding hands in a big circle at the Renaissance Hotel in Palm Springs, outdoors, beautiful night sky, beautiful weather. We're all holding hands, 200 people, and we're looking up, and the leaders are like, oh, space brothers, we love you. Show yourselves, please. We want to meet you very much. We are so open to your presence. Please bless us with an appearance, if you'd be so kind. It was pretty cool, but it was kind of corny. I'll be honest, it was kind of corny, but it was very nice because everyone was there. We're holding hands for an hour and a half, 200 people holding hands. It was the most communal thing I think I've ever done. Yes, probably the most communal thing I've ever done. I'm looking up and I'm thinking, I would love to see something tonight. I really, really would love to see something tonight. Please show me something. I was doing that too. So after 90 minutes, from 9 to 10:30 p.m., we're all doing that. And then the host say, okay, if you're tired, you can lay on the grass on your back and look up and send out your own private thoughts and prayers. Okay, so we're all laying on our backs looking up. It's 10:30. I'm looking at my watch, David. I'm like, I have a lot to do tomorrow. I should probably go. I should probably go to sleep soon. I have a big day tomorrow. No sooner. This is like when I pulled the car keys out from the other one. I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, I should go to bed. In the sky to my left, directly above us, to a little bit to the left, bang. There's a bang in the sky. A puff A large puff of dark white smoke appears from nowhere. And from out of that smoke, and I swear to you, this is true, the most beautiful UFO I've ever seen. It flew out really fast from the smoke. It was a V shape, but it was rounded tips. It wasn't sharp V like the one I saw with my dad. Rounded tips V, vanilla white ice cream color with gold ribbon color woven through the white. Dave, do you ever see vanilla ice cream with a caramel ribbon?
Yes.
Imagine a UFO in the sky that's a V, and it's vanilla ice cream with caramel ribbon. That's the color. Gorgeous. It was beautiful, the color. And it's going 300-400 feet above, directly above all of us. Here comes the best part. Underneath the two V's, the two wings of the V, under each one were three octopus suction cups. 3 and 3. And the octopus suction cups were going like this. They were pulsating. They were pulsing like heartbeats. They were lit up and they were pulsing like heartbeats. I saw this crystal clear. And my thought was, whatever that is, it's alive. It's a creature. It was like, it wasn't mechanical, Dave. It was like heartbeats. These huge octopus suction cups, 10, 12 seconds max. And then on the other side of the sky, it just vanished. We all stood up and applauded. Everyone applauded. I was elated. I'm still elated. We were all hugging. It's like, wow, did you see? Wasn't that great? Didn't expect it. I was skeptical. Now that I've done a CE5, anyone out there, do a CE5. Try it. It was magical.
CE5 is such a powerful source of energy if you can grasp it. I think the problem that we have with a lot of people who try it is they go outside for about 10, 15 minutes. They try it out. They're like, I don't see anything. Yeah. But I mean, when I used to do it, it took hours and days to set up with that intention of looking into the stars and everything. You know, how did you find it? You know, do you find it quite easy to do because you do it?
Well, it's the only time I've ever done it in my life. I did it once ever, a month ago. The only time I ever did it in my life, I was there from 9 p.m. till 10:30 p.m., 90 minutes. And like you said, Dave, along those 90 minutes, I was thinking, this is very lovely. These people mean well. I have so much to do tomorrow. I really should go to the hotel room and get an early night's sleep. But a little voice was like, just a few more minutes, just in case, because, my mazel, I would leave. And then, of course, a UFO and, ET would land and everyone would get an autograph and I'd be sleeping like a moron, right? So I didn't want to miss it just in case. But honestly, when it came to 10:30 and I look at my watch and I think, I'm going to go back to my room in 5-10 more minutes. And then the UFO came. I think it was like, hey, Dan, hey, Dan, I know you've been waiting. Here you are. Now you can go, because I went right to bed after the UFO came. It's the only time I ever did CE5 in my life. But my point is, I would suggest it to people. And like what you said, don't do 5, 10, 15 minutes. If you do a CE5, stick it out. Stick it out. Invest your time, because I almost missed it. And that was my 4th UFO. And it was it looked like a painting. It was visually beautiful. The white and the gold color, Dave, they were vivid. It was like a flying ice cream V with octopus suction cups pulsing like heartbeats. When are you ever going to see that in your life? So I highly recommend CE5s highly.
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. You had we got 5 minutes to go here. You had one more story that you wanted to share with us.
I have a deeply personal story that I will tell you because it proves that ghosts are real, and it proves that the connection I had with my father. Okay, I'll do this quickly. My father died on a Monday morning. That Friday, same week, I had to go to Silicon Valley for a new business meeting. I went to the meeting. They put me up in a hotel. I'm in Silicon Valley, 3 a.m. I'm sound asleep in a hotel. 4 days after my father died, I'm in a hotel room sleeping, middle of the night. My bed starts rumbling and shaking. And I think, oh God, here comes an earthquake. Because I've lived through plenty of earthquakes. I've been in LA 45 years. So I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be an earthquake. My bed is moving, Dave, like this, right? Then it stops moving. And then from underneath my bed, from the box spring through the mattress into my head, I hear the following, loud, just like this. Danny, Jeannie changed my will. I sat up. Dad? I turn on the light. Dad, are you here? My dad's second wife was Jeannie. He's the only person on the planet Earth that called her Jeannie. Her name was Jean. Danny, Jeannie changed my will. Now, the last 2 years of his life, David, my father had severe Alzheimer's. He didn't know who he was. He didn't know where he was from. He didn't know his name. Long story short, after that happened, I looked under the bed. I was, Dad? I looked under the bed. I opened all the closets. I turned the lights out. It's 3 a.m. Dad? I'm looking for my father. Cut to, I told my brothers, we hired an attorney. The attorney called my father's second wife. She had changed his will. She had changed his life insurance policies while he had Alzheimer's. And a long story short, we almost sued her, but we didn't because there was too much hubbub and it would have cost too much money. We let it go. But my father told me from the grave, Danny, Jeannie changed my will. Now, and I may start crying right now, but if that doesn't prove that there's communication from the other side, and my dad and I were tight, man. I was the oldest son. I loved my dad and I miss him every single day still. My dad spoke to me from the other side. And that if that doesn't prove there are ghosts, then I don't know what could possibly prove it.
I can see that. I can totally see that. And it's funny because my nephew, it'll be 6 years and 2 days that he passed away from a fentanyl overdose.
I'm sorry.
And when I was going down for my mom to say goodbye to my mom last year, I was driving through the canyon heading towards Vancouver, and I said, "Hey, bud, you got to help me out here." And my nephew he wasn't cocky. He was very confident, And I remember him saying to me, "I don't know what you're worried about. I got this." And the day before my mom passed, it was me and my 2 sisters in her room. And my mom was talking to somebody. And my eldest sister, who that was her only son, she goes, "Mom, who are you talking to?" And she goes, "I'm talking to Bryce." And he was standing right in front of her while she was in her wheelchair.
She saw him. She saw him.
Oh, yeah. She was having a complete conversation right in front of us. My sister looks up at me and I said, "Told you."
Wow.
Told you. And the cool part about it is it sounds romantic, but I'll say it anyways. The cool part about it was knowing that my nephew was there and that my sister never got to say goodbye to my nephew, but she got to be the one who held my mom's hand on her final breath.
Wow.
And I thought that was really cool because knowing that my nephew was there and that my sister got that honor, because it is an honor. Not many people get that. Okay. I just thought that was a beautiful trifecta. I mean, now my sister doesn't talk to me anymore. She's not talking to me after. But
well, it sounds like Bryce was a gift. It was a parting gift to your mother. He appeared as a gift to your mom to help ease your mom onto the other side.
Absolutely.
And that's a wonderful story. It's very touching too, man. Thanks for everything, brother.
I'm gonna say goodnight to you. Thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio. Hour 3, everybody, is next.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
That music always seems to freak people
That's
out.
like demonic. That's like a demonic clown is gonna I'm gonna come to strangle you.
It's actually a start of a song called Cuterebra by my music guy Ron Bumblefoot Thal. And
Oh, by the way, yeah. Before I forget, by the way, your opening video, because I have we didn't mention my podcast. I have an opening podcast montage that I like a lot, but I really enjoyed your, with the Reagan, and the scary ghost stuff and your juxtaposition of different Bigfoot. I really enjoyed your opening montage. I really did.
appreciate that. Give credit to my buddy Vincent, who did that. But
that was really good.
I don't know if he's listening. Vinny, if you're listening tonight, good credit. It's amazing. Dan, I got to run.
Okay, David, my brother. Thanks, man. Have a great week. Great week. See ya. Bye-bye.
Good night. Dan Harary, everybody. I'll be right back. Hi, Earth Goat Trees. How you doing? Or Tress. I always put trees down there. I didn't realize it was Tress. Weird. Gotta love my eyes. All right. Excuse me. Sorry for coughing in your ear. Thank you tonight to W. Decker, Area 53, Dutch Hank, and Aloha Dave for the great super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support. Sorry I didn't get to the questions tonight. The stories were way too fantastic. Here we go with hour 3, everybody. All right, here comes the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate you tuning us on in for a great show. This is why we do great radio, everyone. It's stories like this that just turn my head. It turns my head, when we can bring true stories and true tales of everything like that to you. Man, what a storyteller, Dan Harary. Don't forget his book is My Paranormal Life, Supernatural Stories from a Hollywood Insider. Can be found on Amazon right now. My name is Dave Scott. I'm the host of this wonderful show we call Spaced Out Radio. And thank you all for tuning us on in. Greatly appreciate it. I don't want to remind you. Let's just say that hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon and the Space Travelers Club. The password for tonight, courtesy of the Desert Clam, narcohypnia. Narcohypnia is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on the show. Let's go to Steve Stockton.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. The crisp scent of pine and fresh air filled my nostrils as I set off on a weekend hike through the sprawling Shenandoah National Park. I'd taken a long weekend, and it was a much-needed escape from the noise and chaos of Washington, D.C., where I spent most of my days hunched over a computer screen as a software developer. But out here, in the midst of nature's beauty, I felt alive and free. My name is Alex, and while my job may be in technology, my soul belongs to the great outdoors. Little did I know that this journey would turn into a harrowing nightmare that I'd struggle to escape from. Before the sun had risen on Friday morning, I arrived at the trailhead with my trusty backpack securely strapped to my shoulders. It was filled to the brim with all the essentials I would need for my 3-day solo trek through the breathtaking Blue Ridge Mountains. The loop trail ahead of me was well trodden, promising stunning vistas and challenging terrain. As I set off, the crisp autumn air surrounded me, carrying with it the scent of pine and earth, a typical hallmark of fall in Virginia. The sky above was a deep shade of blue, dotted with fluffy white clouds that seemed to stretch endlessly into the distance. I couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and anticipation for what lay ahead on this journey. The sun had reached its peak in the sky, casting a warm glow over the surrounding landscape. I'd already trekked a considerable distance since morning, but the trail continued to stretch out before me. It was noticeably more secluded than I'd anticipated, as most hikers preferred the picturesque paths closer to the Skyline Drive. However, I relished in the serenity and tranquility of my surroundings, or at least I thought so, until a sudden shiver ran down my spine, causing me to stop in my tracks. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end, and I couldn't shake off the eerie feeling that someone or something was watching me from within the dense forest. Even the rustling of leaves and chirping of birds seemed to have ceased, leaving an unsettling stillness in their wake. As the sun began to dip low in the sky, casting warm orange rays across the forest, I made the decision to set up camp for the night. After gathering some firewood, I wandered deeper into the woods and stumbled upon something bizarre. Half buried under layers of decaying leaves and moss was an old rusted-out truck, its once shiny exterior now dulled and worn by time. It seemed as though this vehicle had been abandoned here for decades, a forgotten relic of a bygone era. I couldn't resist getting a closer look at this piece of history, even though I found it chilling to think of all the stories and memories that must have been left behind with it. But what was really chilling was when I opened the door of the truck and peered inside. There on the seat was a tattered and faded photograph of a family, their faces worn and sunken, staring back at me with haunted expressions that seemed to pierce right through me. Despite the eerie feeling in the pit of my stomach, I couldn't resist reaching out and pocketing the photo, knowing deep down that it was a decision that I would come to regret in time. The image seemed burned into my mind, haunting me with its silent but powerful message. As the moon rose high in the sky and the fire crackled with dancing flames, the stars emerged one by one, twinkling into existence above. But amidst this peaceful scene, I heard something else. Soft whispers carried on the breeze, their words unintelligible yet eerie. At first, I tried to rationalize it as just the wind playing tricks on my mind. However, as the night wore on, the sounds in the trees and the occasional snap of a twig kept me awake and alert, my senses attuned to every sound in the surrounding darkness. The once inviting forest now felt ominous and foreboding, as if something sinister lurked just beyond my line of sight. As the night wore on, a stillness settled over the forest, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. But then, amidst the darkness, I heard something else. Footsteps. Not the gentle patter of small animals, but the purposeful, heavy thud of human feet. My heart began to race as the sound grew closer, circling around my tent like a predator stalking its prey. I gripped my hunting knife tightly in my hand, feeling its cold metal against my skin as I held my breath, waiting for whatever or whoever was outside to make their move. The night seemed to hold its breath with me, waiting in anticipation for what would happen next. In an instant, the rhythmic thud of footsteps came to a halt, and the eerie quiet of the night enveloped me. A dark, looming shadow cast itself over my tent, its presence suffocating. A thick, guttural voice shattered the stillness, speaking in a dialect so heavy and thick that it was almost impossible to decipher. "Land's sakes, found him," it muttered before vanishing into the dense forest, leaving behind nothing but an echo of its unsettling words. After a long, sleepless night and the first rays of light peeked through the trees, I hastily packed my belongings and set off on the trail. The unsettling encounter from the night before had me on edge, my senses heightened and keenly aware of every sound and movement in the forest. I just couldn't shake the feeling of being watched as I walked, my nerves frayed from that constant sense of being followed.
Thank you to Steve Stockton from Tales Untold for another creepy story. And if you want more just like that, head on over to his YouTube channel called Tales Untold. Make sure you hit subscribe on that. We'll get to another story of his tomorrow night. And now, UFO Report. Here's Tim James.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
All right, we bring in Tim James here in studio for UFO Report. And a couple of big stories that we're going to go over that happened on the weekend.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're going to start off with something, and I don't want our audience, especially in our chat room, to get political here.
No.
Okay, but it was a very ugly scene with what happened with the former president Donald Trump on the weekend, and just nasty you know, and I don't care what party you're with,
No,
you know,
sure.
like I'll give you an example. I am not a fan of Justin Trudeau. Okay. Not a fan of his whatsoever. I think he's ruined Canada. But I could say this, never once would I wish harm on him
No.
or his family,
No.
you know? And that is just, you know, we're going to leave it at that. But
Mhm.
something came out very, very ominously from that incident. And that was going back to May 29th to June 2nd,
Mhm.
where Ross Coulthart, intrepid journalist of UFOs, who works for News Nation,
Yeah.
was the keynote speaker at the conference for the Scientific Coalition of UAP Studies, explorescu.org if you want their website. And in that speech, he actually brought up Trump's name,
Mhm.
that many presidents like Trump are afraid to talk about UFOs, Tim,
Mhm.
because they're afraid that somebody, quote unquote, will kill them.
Yeah. True.
What did you learn about that?
Well, the statement itself, there's from what I've read and what I've researched, it was, I guess you could say that what Trump had said, or what was allegedly said, is that he felt that if he said anything, he might die. Now, going over Ross's SCU conference speech which I found on online. I went through the whole thing, and it's like an hour and 10 minutes or something like that. So I went through watched the whole thing, and he alludes to it by saying that his sources, somebody said that ex-President Trump or President Trump felt that he may be killed if he said something about it. Now, you and I were talking about that, and it's so with that statement, if you go back, and it's all public, I mean, on YouTube, check out any of the past presidents that have been on talk shows, Jimmy Kimmel Live, doesn't matter, any of them. George W. Bush was asked about that on, I think it was on Kimmel Live. And like you and I were talking about, these presidents and the talk shows are all briefed, obviously, before the presidents go in there. But you can see it online. If you watch those interviews and that question pops up, so what can you tell us about UFOs? Or, you know, they know that question's coming, but every single one of them looked absolutely, they were tripping over themselves. And Bill Clinton's is the best. You just see his face go all red, and then he's stumbling over himself. Yeah, it was a weird statement, but then when I researched that statement, I decided to go down and see what other presidents have said. Nobody's ever said anything about being killed that I found, but they definitely look super uncomfortable talking about it. There is no question about it.
It's weird, though, how Ross brought up Trump's name.
Mm-hmm.
You know, coincidence, quite possibly.
Sure.
Okay. Coincidence. I mean, we can always put that towards whatever it may be because of the events.
Sure.
And let's face it, hindsight is always 20/20.
Of course.
But Trump did allude to a couple of interesting points. Okay. There was an interview that he did with his son
Mm-hmm.
about right before he was exiting office about
Mm-hmm.
Roswell.
Yeah.
And his son said, well, are you going to tell us what happened at Roswell? And he dodged that question.
Yeah.
You know, but why would his son ask that? Because they even promoted the fact that I'm going to talk to my dad, the president, about Roswell.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have aliens or whatever? And we all in the UFO community got a little hyped up over that.
Sure, absolutely.
And it turned out to be a nothing burger, as we expected.
Mm-hmm.
Then you look into JFK.
Right.
He was going to expose what happened in JFK 50-some years later.
That's right.
60 years later. And that report got delayed.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came out 6 weeks later, the juicy parts that we wanted to see were all heavily redacted.
Exactly.
because of national security.
Yeah.
It just makes me, I'm not saying that what happened on the weekend is tied to this.
No.
I think, unfortunately, there are nut bars out there.
Yeah.
Okay. And whatever happens with the hearings and everything, we'll let that happen. That has nothing to do with UFOs.
No.
But on the UFO front, it still trips me out that Ross Coulthart basically said that they felt that if any president, if in this case Trump, brought out the UFO files, that they would likely kill him.
Yeah.
Well, the question is this: if that statement is correct and
Right.
Ross's source is 100% legit, and a journalist like Ross is usually pretty bang on with their sources,
Right.
okay, he's a pro. He's been doing this for 30 plus years. He's a pro at the journalism game.
Right.
The question is this: who are they? Okay.
Yeah.
Because that would mean that there is some sort of shadow government that's calling the shots.
Yeah.
Okay. Or B, what are they hiding that could result in taking the life of a president if they mention it? Right. We got to go down this rabbit hole, man.
You're right. But there's so many different avenues to pursue on that, right? Like without getting over the top political on stuff, even though we are talking about government and stuff, I think, it's a rabbit hole. I'm looking at, I don't know. It's what Ross said I'm kind of retrieving stuff out of my head while I'm trying to speak. I remember one of the things that Ross said is that there's people that have told him, and I love his key phrase, the gatekeepers, and he calls it a black area or a dark area and what have you. So these gatekeepers, for lack of a better term, I think that it's I don't know, the killing part is what's sticking with me. It is, you've got defense contractors that have got this stuff, right? You've got the dark side of the government, which is basically completely illegal. That's why they formed Congress, if I'm not mistaken, right? So they're doing illegal things with the taxpayers' money, and it's like, okay, we all know that you guys are doing something behind closed doors, but they don't want the doors to open and let us all see Oz, because it's so hard for me to articulate it because there's so many different avenues. It's like a big spider web, right? You've got this nucleus that is basically, they're doing something illegal. They're illegally holding on to stuff that they haven't, like even the Pentagon or whatever, right? Like their budget, they were $3 trillion in the hole. So, or $3 trillion unaccounted for. I'm sorry. So where did that go? Why isn't anybody asking those questions? And everybody, and of course, everybody looks at the Pentagon and the National Defense, and they're the ones that are controlling that dark side, allegedly. That's what people are saying, right? So Ross said, like he said, his sources have told him the presidents don't really know a lot because they're temporary employees. So you've got a history, and you've got people that have probably worked in this behind the scenes for years and years and years and years with non-disclosure agreements and stuff like that. And it's just another boss coming in, or another CEO, so to speak, coming into a business, basically the government, and saying, okay, he'll be gone in 8 years. We don't have to, reveal everything to him. But I guess you got to be careful what you wish for if you're a president, right?
Well, you do have to be careful with what you wish for.
Mm-hmm.
And, there are certain things that we have heard over the years that presidents are not allowed to talk about.
Right.
And the funny thing is, you bring up the nighttime talk shows.
Mm-hmm.
This is one thing that I know.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Those questions, when they are asked, and inevitably the UFO question always comes up, whether it's Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, or whoever it may be over
Yep.
the years about UFOs, those questions are already pre-stamped by the president's PR person.
Right.
The president or whoever's sitting in that chair, whether it's been Bush, Clinton, Obama,
Mhm.
Trump,
Mhm.
okay, they know those questions are coming. They know they're going to be asked. They know that they are going to be having to prepare an answer for it.
Right.
But the body language doesn't lie.
No, because you're exactly right. Everything I saw, like the hosts are pitching or lobbing a softball. Like they're just floating it across the plate. They have to ask because everybody wants them to ask. And like you said, they know what they're allowed to ask and what they're not allowed to ask. The presidents know what's going to be asked of them. But you're right. If you go back and look at any of those archives, they all look like they're, oh my God. Yeah. So you just see it. The body language is totally, yeah. It's kind of weird. I don't quite understand it, and I don't know why they would be nervous, because I mean, you can come up with a political answer. I'm assuming, like, well, that's a different department, and I know a little bit about stuff, but what have you? But I don't know.
Well, here's another interesting part about this too,
Mhm.
is George Bush Jr.
Mm-hmm.
has basically gone on record saying, "I don't know what's going on. I don't care to know. I don't believe in it."
Yeah.
Well, and it was followed up with a question: well, if you knew and say it was out there, would you come out publicly about it? And he said, probably not.
That's right. That's
Probably not.
Yeah. No, for sure.
But it makes you wonder, like, people are so suspicious.
Yeah.
We only got about 2 minutes to go here
Okay.
before we go to break. People are so suspicious, Tim, that it makes me wonder why they haven't jumped on this bandwagon
Mhm.
where you literally have the most powerful man in the world sitting there squirming about the UFO question,
Right.
and nobody's asking follow-up on it.
No, definitely not. Well, I'm sure that would cut the interview pretty quick, because you're stepping outside of the parameters that have been set up for you for the interview, right? So it's a scripted reality, I guess you could say. But
it's a totally scripted reality.
Yeah, you got it.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
I just don't know where to go with this. I mean, the fact that was very coincidental
Yes.
is troublesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine somebody telling me, if I were president of the United States or prime minister of Canada or wherever,
Yeah.
okay, telling me, by the way, you cannot talk about these topics. We don't want you talking about, because don't you find it interesting on a Canadian front? Prime Minister Trudeau has never addressed the UFO question.
I find it very interesting, because now that you say that, I've never ever heard him talk about it.
And you know what's funny? We
Mhm.
know he's been read in.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We know he's been read in at least 3 times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And we
Yeah.
know he's going to be read in with Dr. Mona Niemer's
Mm-hmm.
Sky Canada project that's coming up later this summer
Mm-hmm.
into early fall
Yep.
when they release it. But
When they release it.
we're going to find out what's happening from there.
Yeah.
Tim, you're going to hold on, because we have
Absolutely.
you till the top of the hour. When we return on Spaced Out Radio for the final half hour of tonight's show, we're going to get into potential new UFO legislation. Spaced Out Radio continues with UFO report right after this.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
Boy, that one went by at the
No doubt.
snap of a finger. Holy cow.
It's funny because I'm trying to, because they're, like I said, it's a spider web. There's so many rabbit holes that you can go down, and they do need to be explored. There's no question. Yeah. I don't know. I think I posted Ross's lecture or speech on X. Come on. Yeah.
Man,
What are you thinking?
just the whole thing, man.
Mm-hmm. Vegetables for supper. It's usually when I get back from hunting. If I've been hunting for like a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
as soon as I get back, it's like, yeah, I usually go for Chinese and get like a beef chow mein or something. I don't know what it is, man, but I just.
Yeah, let's not talk food right now.
Okay, no.
I'd raw carrots and celery and
No.
yeah,
I think we went.
olives. And now I'm not saying that was bad.
No, I get it. I get in a vegetable kit.
What I would do for a frickin' greasy burger right now.
GBR, baby.
Oh
I think we went down this one last week.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Food.
Oh man, I could go for a good pizza right now.
Where do you order from up here?
I go Canadian 2 for 1, which is stupid that they name it that because they don't do 2 for 1 anymore.
No. Thanks, Hawk.
Over on Twitch, new listener. I'm not going to mention your name because it'll make me. Well, what the hell? Fartbox fisted. Look at this. Excuse my name, but into the paranormal. How you guys doing? We're good, man.
Excellent.
Oh my gosh.
Fart.
I want to know how you came up with that name. That's what I want to know. Oh my God. All right. Big thank you tonight to Rose, JSCO, Dave, Dutch Hank, W Decker, Area 53. How you doing? Thank you for the love and the super chats. Oh my gosh. Oh. I probably shouldn't have done that.
I think it's good.
That's good. Oh. here comes the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. We really appreciate tuning us on in. Hey, I want to remind all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. We continue on with our good friend Tim James here on the UFO Report. And Tim,
Yes.
overshadowed by what happened to President Trump. Schumer Rounds bill.
I know.
Comes out again.
Yep.
With more amendments getting into UFOs. What do you got for us?
Oh, man. All right. So what I did is I've actually, just so you guys know, if anybody wants to look up the interview that Ross did on with SCU, it's on my X page. It's Tim James. You can't miss. It's got the UFOs and everything on it. And then below that, I've also got, this is the article that came from the Liberation Times, and the author of it was Christopher Sharp. And I'm using notes because
Great guy.
Yeah. So I've got that posted in there as well. So to get down to it, both U.S. Senators Mike Rounds and Chuck Schumer have pushed that UAP disclosure bill, I guess you could call it, through again. And yeah, they've revived it. So I don't think that gets voted on until, what is it, for NDAA for what, 2025?
Yeah, it'll be voted on in December.
Yeah.
November, December.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, it's a long bill, but I mean, from what I was reading and researching, Dave and I were talking last night a little bit. This could really, if it goes, would really open up a whole new aspect of what's going on out there. I mean, protecting the whistleblowers. With the review committee, right? Protecting other witnesses would actually bring back the eminent domain thing again, right? So I think that's what kiboshed it or really put a damper on things, is because anything that's under defense contractors, anything that has been retrieved will now become eminent domain and be turned over to the government. And this review committee will be allowed to examine this stuff, will be allowed to report on this stuff. It's huge. It's pretty big. I mean, we're brand new early stages, but I mean, if this rolled forward, I think, a lot of cool things happening.
Well, part of the interesting part about this new round was that they really got into the disappointment about Arrow and the job that Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick did at the head. They almost felt like it was working against any type of disclosure, any type of transparency, that they were pretty much acting like NASA. Who, what, where, when, why?
Yeah.
There's UFOs out there.
Yeah, exactly. And there is a statement. I mean, when they were talking about it, and I'm sorry, I'm going to scroll to it because there was a really good one that I saw here with Arrow. Where was it? Doesn't matter. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. And they basically just did a CYA, cover your butt, right? And there was no evidence, and they could find no concrete this or no concrete that. Pretty lame. And it was pretty disappointing. I guess it is. It's very disappointing. But this kind of kicks them in the groin a bit. You know?
What do you think? Was there anything said about what should come from the next director of Arrow, or do they need to collapse that program and restart it all again like they've done before?
Well, I don't know if, from what I was seeing in the article, what had happened was, what was it, the end of February that they everything got shut down with those guys. So there was no other comments on Arrow at all in any of the article, like really. It was talking about the independent civilian review committee, which would be appointed by the President of the United States, and with approval of Senate, obviously. It kind of kind of just pushed Arrow to the side. And there wasn't a lot of, it was like having that, that stepbrother that you don't want to hang out with. It was like, okay, you're a bit of a doofus. And you really did do a good job. So I think that there's another direction that they'll be going on this, and it looks a little more accountable, I guess you could say.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how this potential new legislation actually plays out, because the one thing about UFOs that this topic has impressed me with is that it has been bipartisan down the road. We have Republicans working with Democrats.
Yeah.
We don't see that a lot in any government.
No.
We don't see this happen very often. Yet for this subject, we have a lot of Republicans, like, give you an example, Marco Rubio, Kristen Gillibrand. Well, Rubio's Republican in Florida, Gillibrand's Democrat in New York. They're working together on it. We've seen, Tim Burchett, who is one of the most controversial Congress people out there. He's working with AOC, one of the most controversial Congress people for the Democrats.
Right.
We see all of this happening, but for some reason, this topic has almost glued the newer people who are elected, not the old farts who have been there since they were literally putting brick to mortar on creating laws.
Yeah, for sure.
Where, I mean, some of them have been serving since shortly after George Washington crossed the Delaware.
Right.
Still
so got wooden crowns or something, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't chop down them apple trees. You know what I'm saying? Right. But we see this camaraderie happening on this subject. I'm wondering, and just your opinion, will that hold this time?
I would suspect that. Okay, so starting from the bottom here, that glue. First of all, I wouldn't, in my mind, I don't understand why, if you were a congressman or like, why would you put yourself out there and lie about this and create this? Like my brain, just me, they have to know something, or else they wouldn't be putting themselves out there. They weren't voluntold for a committee by, their leaders. So I'm wondering, first of all, okay, so if they really believe in it and they've got the best interest of the country and everything at heart, then I would suggest that it shouldn't fall apart. And without getting political, we don't know what's happening further on down the road here in the near future. But what other pressures can be put on them to dissolve that glue? Who knows? Who knows where that's coming from? Like Ross said, is it the gatekeepers? Is it the people with the money and the defense contractors that are making money off of this that are gonna that can separate that glue? My opinion, I mean, if you stand by your guns, you just push through, but I don't know if everybody's got a backbone.
You know what, though? I agree with you. But as I said on Sterling every night earlier before the show, and I do a radio hit with Walter M. Sterling each night on this show, or before our show starts.
Sure.
And we were talking about this earlier. And one of the things that I stated there was, when the Schumer-Rounds amendment was basically trounced last December, where they ripped into it and they tore it all apart, basically made it extremely low fat on product. It was caused by Republican Mike Turner,
right,
who is one of those forever senators, and his group of cronies, four or five others, who really trounced this. And they hid it behind national security. But if you look at Turner's representatives, who are his voters? Well, his seat just happens to represent everybody, the 50,000 plus workers who go to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base every day.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And if you go back in history, where did they send the Roswell crash first before Area 51?
Right.
Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Right.
That is the Area 51 of the East Coast.
Gotcha.
And so when we have things like that happening, and he's listening to all the generals, all the defense contractors, and everybody's got his ear. Well, he hasn't been elected for the last 25 plus years
Exactly.
for the sake of just being a good guy.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
He trounced that bill for a reason. Question is, will they give him an opportunity to do that this time? Because they seem to be a little bit more aggressive this time going in.
Right. That's I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I think I agree with you too. I think you've got a younger demographic in there, and you've got like these people have got a career ahead of them. I'm sure, as like in any business, there's some people that don't want to get involved in stuff because, you know, they just want to float and get to their retirement and get out of there. But I mean, if you're actually doing what you're supposed to be doing and elected for the people or by the people for the people, then what do you intimidation doesn't make sense. I'm the type of person that doesn't like to, or has never liked to be intimidated by somebody. So that doesn't compute in my brain. That intimidation factor, like, oh, you better do it, man, or I'm taking you out behind the monkey bars at recess and we're getting her done. Like, I don't care what you're saying. So yeah, I think it's a wait and see thing, but I would hope that the glue stays tacky, right?
Well, absolutely. And you know, the one thing is they are trying to massage it to be very, very important, an important part of that. So this is from thehill.com. And the writer states, critically, according to Schumer, multiple credible sources have alleged that elements of the U.S. government have withheld UFO-related information from Congress illegally. Although a key House lawmaker successfully stripped the most extraordinary elements of the Schumer-led legislation, Schumer and the legislation's principal co-sponsor, Senator Mike Rounds, vowed to keep working to change the status quo. And just to remind people, Schumer's a Democrat.
Yeah.
Rounds is a Republican.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this is where these people are really trying to come together. And Schumer was also a big fan of late Senator Harry Reid of Nevada, who visited Area 51 many a times, very pro-military, but extremely pro-UFO. A good friend of Robert Bigelow and Bigelow Aerospace and everything to do with UFOs, right? When he was into UFOs. Right. Okay. Here's another part for this article that I think is important. Separate legislation sponsored by Rubio and Senate Intelligence and Armed Services Committee member Christian Gillibrand cuts off funding for illicit UFO programs. Language accompanying the legislation outlines in remarkable detail the various elements that such a program would entail, include a UFO retrieval procedures, scientific analysis, reverse engineering, and security and counterintelligence efforts. President Biden signed Gillibrand and Rubio's legislation into law in December. In January, Sean Kirkpatrick, the former director of the Pentagon's UFO Analysis Office, or otherwise AARO, embarked on an unusual media tour to pour cold water on the swirling allegations of secret, unreported UFO programs. But Kirkpatrick's public commentary appears to have had little effect on Capitol Hill. In March, Senator Rounds, indicated twice that the extraordinary Schumer-led legislation alleging the existence of unreported UFO programs would be introduced this year. Asked on May 2nd whether a 63-page Pentagon report categorically denying the existence of illicit UFO efforts is case closed, Gillibrand, that's Senator Gillibrand, stated, "Oh, it's definitely not case closed." No. So on one hand, Gillibrand was talking out of both sides of her mouth. And we called her out on the show about that. Basically saying, well, what is it? You're saying that you're supporting that nothing's there. Yeah. But now all of a sudden, 6 months later, you're like, oh, no, we're back in the UFO game. We're back. But I have a reason for that. Money.
No, of course.
We are talking billions of dollars.
Money changes people's minds. It's really weird.
Billions of defense contract budgets on UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
And we, the public, which they're trying to nix disclosure,
Mm-hmm.
are right there waiting to pay for it without even knowing.
Yeah.
Without even knowing, Tim.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous. Chris Mellon says in the article,
Mm-hmm.
the Department of Defense's former top civilian intelligence official notes many whistleblowers do not trust the Pentagon process, preferring to speak to Congress and the intelligence community's internal watchdog instead. This puts forward position. If the director of the UFO office was aware that high-level officials alleging the existence of unreported UFO programs refused to speak with them, how can he and his office credibly issue sweeping denials that such programs exist?
That's right. That's exactly it. Right?
Yeah.
Well, it was the same as in this article, if anybody that wants to read it, it even says in there that there's a lot of whistleblowers and there's a lot of people that ex-employees and stuff that have worked in that field that are coming out, but they don't want to go to the Pentagon. They're actually going to Schumer, they're going to Rounds, and they're trying to get through to Biden. So what they're doing is they're sidestepping that altogether, right? And I guess so. So, if you keep telling somebody that you're getting beaten up by the bully on the block and they're not listening, you're going to go tell somebody else that is going to listen to you, right? And yeah, very interesting. And they're open to it. Rounds and Schumer are like, okay, what do you got to say, right? So yeah, they're bypassing, I guess, whistleblowers are bypassing the proper protocol and actually going to people that are going to listen.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see if they can push it through.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of resistance because that old crony, the military-industrial complex guys
Mm-hmm.
who revolve around those votes
Mm-hmm.
to keep their hefty paychecks, to keep their constituents employed.
100%.
They are going to be pushed to the limit here. And do I think it goes through in the end? No. I think it's going to be redacted to beat hell.
Yeah.
Okay. But I do find it interesting that, we are about a month away now
Mm-hmm.
from Lou Elizondo's book coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out and what information drops in that book, which we know is called Imminent.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what plays out there, because if he starts dropping names and information on people who are blocking this, and we don't know if he did. I'm waiting for my copy,
of course,
to get here around August 21st, and I'm going to speed power read through that.
Doubt.
Okay. I might even have to take a night off the show just so I could power read that.
Damn, Saturday maybe.
Yeah. It's going to see how interesting this plays out, because Elizondo's book, whether we like it or not, if it does have information in it, how could this affect this new Schumer Rounds law? Because if Chris Mellon, who is Elizondo's biggest supporter, is talking to Schumer, is talking to Rounds, is talking to other senators and Congress people about this, what kind of influence could that have moving this ball forward in the discussion and debate, Tim?
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. I mean, it's like a football team, right? You've got a coach in there that quite possibly knows what's going on in the playbook, and he's given the plays out, and yeah, it's so. Well, like my old friend of mine used to say, it's jiggery pokery, but you're back scenes, right? You're behind the scenes and you're working with your allies, and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it's so hard. Like, I mean, what's the book going to contain? What is it? Is it going to? I shouldn't say. Wouldn't think it's going to be a fluff book, but how much pertinent information is going to be in there that's going to turn the corner and yeah, light some fires, right? Oh, well, that's out of the bag now. I guess we better do something else or that, oh, they're half right about that. I mean, and who else knows? I mean, with the book coming out, who's read it? Who's looked at it? Who said you can't print that? Like, is there, I'm just, my brain's going, I guess, conspiracy to a certain degree. I mean, it's going to be published. There's nothing to say that somebody didn't go to the publisher and said, give me the book. I want to read it before.
Well, we know that's been done.
Right.
We know that's been done. Look, there's a good chance that book may not say anything.
Yeah.
We don't know. We have to be front. I can tell people, though, that it's been about almost 3-4 weeks now since I heard from Elizondo's publisher.
Okay.
Okay, because we're trying to book a date to get on the show.
Got it.
And here's the funny part. Elizondo has been on this show numerous times.
Right.
But not numerous, maybe 3 or 4 times.
That's nice.
And I find it funny. He knows what time we start. Yet his PR person keeps saying, yeah, we can schedule you between 1 and 2 p.m. on this date. I'm like, what part of this is my live schedule are you not getting?
Yeah.
Lou has been on this show.
Yeah.
He's been great to be on this show before. So what part are you not understanding about this? 5 times this has happened.
Oh, okay.
5 times. So we're working on it. You know, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll get them.
No.
We'll get them.
Well, dog on a bone.
You know, hey, we'll throw enough meat on there. Why'd you bring up food again?
I know. I'm sorry.
Starving.
Uh-huh.
I've had literally raw vegetables the last 2 nights, and I love my vegetables.
Yeah, no, me too.
I do love my vegetables.
Brussels sprouts.
Yeah. Oh, I love
Me
Brussels
too.
sprouts. Yeah. As I accidentally clicked over to Facebook, and there's a big sirloin on the bone right here, just barbecued. That's terrible.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely terrible. You know. All right, Tim.
Yes, sir.
Great job on your first ever UFO report.
Yeah, thanks.
You did great.
Thank you.
And thank you. We'll talk to you in a couple nights' time.
Most certainly will.
And a big thank you to all of you tuning us in tonight as we say hello. Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up with a guitar, God himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your car, wherever you may be. Thank you, everyone, for tuning us in on Facebook, Twitter, chats. You name it, we're there. So check us on out, especially on this.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SMR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Great job, my man.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Was stumbling over my face a couple of times, but yeah,
It happens.
Yeah. No, that's good.
It happens.
That's good.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Tell us what you thought of Tim tonight.
Don't do
No,
it.
do it. Do it.
Don't do it.
Just do it. Just do it.
It was
Hit him with the crowbar. Deborah Norsworthy, how are you? Pissing me off, Evan Walters. Pissing me off.
I said pardon.
Well,
That was good. That was good. What the fuck did I just do? That was a quick hour. Okay. Hey, I see Jackson Lee.
yeah, Jax was in there. Hold on. Jax, I know you're still there, or did you already log out? Jackie Poo. Yaki Poo. Download.
I know. Evan Walters got everybody pissed tonight, but he's not pissed.
No, he just pisses us off.
Mm-hmm.
Every night he just pisses us off.
Blues Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate all the super nice comments. That's awesome.
You guys are feeding them bullshit right now. That's what you're doing. Feeding them bullshit.
No, that's awesome. Thank you very much.
Oh, see, Jackie Poo is still here.
Hi, Jax.
Pixie Lara, awesome job, but the after comedy is priceless. Going back to bed. All right.
It's that good?
Yeah, we're gonna have to bring your microphone up a little bit
Yeah.
for next time because your levels are a little
Wobbly.
Yeah, we gotta find something for you.
Yeah,
we'll find something for you. You know, or shrink you, one of the two.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, like being in studio, it's good.
It's fun in here, man.
It is. It is. And the place is huge for all you people that haven't seen it.
It's not that big in here.
No, actually, it's surprising. It's surprising.
It's not that big. It's big for what I have.
Yeah, no question.
It's comfy,
Mm-hmm.
and the heat pump works.
Yeah.
Right? Holy cow. Man, did I ever forget about that one for the first few days?
Well, what was it on Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday until almost just about 11 o'clock. You're like, oh, hey.
Yeah. So for our American listeners, we hit 100 degrees today here, which is about 30. It's 37.9 Celsius.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I got into my vehicle today. It was 39. And that was at 5 o'clock.
Oh.
Yeah.
I had my truck parked out in the sun, and it was on, I think, Friday. I jumped in. Was it Friday?
Yeah.
50 degrees Celsius inside the truck.
Oh.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, no.
No.
I'm just going to leave the doors open.
This is where we get a little fun here.
Okay.
Hold on. So we started at 06. And so that's 30. That's 16. Go back 2 minutes.
Sitting at the deli, thinking about Dad. A beam of energy from above come bang into the sky, bang hard into my head like this, bang. And then through my eyes and through my brain are projected in the air 6 inches in front of my face 3D color hologram home movie of the 1970 UFO sighting I had with my dad. This is now 2017. Okay. 47 years later. I'm watching it at the deli and I'm like, oh my God, I remember that. That happened with my dad. Holy shit.
There it is.
I remember that happening.
There it is.
My God, I remember that. That happened with my dad. Holy shit. At the deli. And I'm like, oh my God.
Cut that part out.
Holy shit.
Here we go. Listen.
That happened with my dad. I remember that happening.
Almost like
now, here's the best part. It's color. It's 3D color hologram with audio. So in this little clip, I'm like, Dad, look, it's a UFO. I'm seeing myself. I see myself jumping up and down.
Okay. So that's the only one for this half hour. So we're good there. We're good there. Yeah, it was 100 degrees Fahrenheit, Philip Blair. 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, it was about 38, 39 degrees here today. Heat warning in effect.
Oh, it's on the
right there. It's on the computer. There we go. The old heat warning.
Well, it's nice to get up first thing in the morning. I swing the windows open and that cold air. It's like, oh, yeah.
See, that's what I love. See, what people don't understand here is in about a month, we'll still get like 90-degree weather during the day.
Exactly.
But at night, it cools down to about 45.
Yeah. So what's that? Like 13, 12?
12, 13.
Oh, it's
and
beautiful.
you just crank those windows open. The entire house it totally empties of heat.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is what it's all about right here.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Do you guys have air conditioning?
No.
We have a portable one.
Those are the bomb.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, I know that my mom had one before she went into extended care, but yeah, I think my brother grabbed it or something.
Philip Blair, the word shit is banned on North American radio still. Yeah, it's not me, man. It's not me. I just play by the rules.
But they can say it on TV.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, radio hasn't grown up yet.
No.
Where is the start of this? Okay, so this should be the end. You know, I mean,
Down radio.
okay, so there's the end. All right. So where's the start? Right there. There it is. There's the start. It's really weird, but when you're editing, you can see the levels over time. They don't change.
Right.
So and that's why I pause like right before I go on air and off the air, because I could, you know, like I'll say, hey, we'll be right back. And then the music will stop and I'll give it like 3 to 5 seconds. Yeah. So that way I can find my edit point. All right. So we started at 36. Let's go to 41. So that's 30. It's 46, 44. 42, 40. So let's start here. 41.
We hear like a plop and a thud sound for a week. It had been there for a week. Okay, David. Now it's 3 feet in front of the package. It's 3 feet away and turned upside down by itself. So I look at that. I go, okay, well, there was no earthquake because I would have felt an earthquake. Okay, so how could that possibly have happened? No idea. These stories get much better. So I put it back in the thing. Now, here we go. A week later, I'm in this living room, this beautiful apartment. I'm in the living room. We had a really nice fireplace. I had just bought a cylinder. You know those decorative match sticks for a fireplace? The long matches, right? They're in like a canister, Dave, right? They come in a long tube, right?
Yes.
So I just bought a brand new tube of those for the fire. We had a beautiful fireplace. I opened the canister on the end, and instead of being a normal person and taking out 1 or 2 matches tenderly, I grab them. I pull out all 50. I pull out all 50 matches like this, really fast. What happens? They went up in flame.
Right.
I'm holding a torch in my hand of 50 lit matches, and it, you know, is a fire. It's 6 inches of like going to singe off my eyebrows, right? And what little hair I have. And I'm like this. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that had happened. And I swear to you, this is true. I'm not a bullshit artist. So everything I'm going to tell you, this is true. I'm not a bullshit. And I swear to you, this is true. I'm not a bullshit artist. So I'm not a bullshit. Is true. So everything I'm going to tell you tonight is true. I'm holding a torch in my hand.
All right, so we got 2 done.
And I'm like, what did I just do? As that's happening, David, in the left corner of my left eye, I see from the dining room flying through the air. To me, whatever it told me to do, I did, and then it came true. It was I don't know if it's a spirit guide or an angel or something. I have a fantastic story about how a voice in a chandelier changed my life. Remind me to do that one, because that's one of my greatest hits. A voice in a chandelier literally changed my life, and dramatically. I have to do that one. So either I was like, these are all supernatural or paranormal. I didn't know what. That's why I put supernatural stories as a subtitle. I didn't know to go to paranormal or supernatural. So they're both. It's my paranormal life. Supernatural stories from a Hollywood insider. My publisher insisted I have the word Hollywood on the cover because he loves all things Hollywood. So I wasn't going to put that part in there. But to answer your question, it's just a catch-all. I didn't know what else. You know, UFOs, to me, UFOs, ghosts, poltergeists, spirit voices, incredible coincidences. When I was in college, I was a doppelganger of some other person. Women used to come up to me for a year and think I was a different person for a year. And I'm like, who is this other guy? I was a doppelganger. So it's a catch-all umbrella phrase for many different weird, shitty things that have happened to me. Weird, shitty things that have shitty things. shitty,
Shitty thing.
weird things that have happened to me, I guess.
No, I hear you there, my man.
Okay, a couple things. The unfortunate thing,
There we go. Now we're good.
Yeah.
Now I can actually get to work. It just sets me back. You know what I'm saying? It just sets me back. That cost me about 5 minutes.
That you'll never get back.
No, it just cost me 5 minutes because I don't sleep a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It cost me 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Simon.
I'm glad you guys like Tim.
Yeah, so on.
Because if you didn't, well, that would really suck to be you guys because he's sticking around.
No, that would seriously suck.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Hey, like 10 minutes before the show, we literally went like this to the desk behind Tim to put up the Bigfoot face in the dome.
Yeah. Get my water bottle out of the way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it looked like a stationary closet.
God, I gotta go through. I got so much shit in here right now. I really do. I gotta go through some of this stuff.
What's it say?
Look at that. They're already asking you big-time UFO questions.
Right?
This guy couldn't tell a UFO from a garden rake.
Oh. What you talking about? That's awesome. Oh.
Now I'm going to make a garden rake t-shirt with a UFO on it.
That's it. Let's do it. Oh, my God.
Get a cartoon image of you waving.
Oh.
Uh-huh. Hi, Laura Lee Seaton.
Oh.
And you wonder how I get screwed up with Lorelei.
Well, yeah.
Laura Lee in the chat room. Laura Lee in the building.
Yeah, for sure. Laura Lee and Billy. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's this weekend.
Yeah, we got a ghost tour this
Sweet.
weekend.
Looking forward
Dude,
to
if
that.
it's anything like last week or the week before last, it'll be fun.
I hope so. Because the last one I did before we took off, or last one I was with you on, it was like crickets, right?
Oh, dude, totally.
Yeah.
Good night, Jackster. See you tomorrow.
Good night.
Fart hard, Jax. Fart hard. She's killing herself laughing right now. I know. She
Yeah,
is.
for sure.
I know she is.
Yeah, their stories on the weekend were really good too. That was awesome.
I really want some good stuff to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Boy, this segment looks so small. Why does it look so small?
I don't know.
Yeah, we're going to have to get you a better stand. Bring that mic up a little bit. Here, I'll show you what I'm talking about if you come over here. So these are your levels here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to end that right there.
All right.
These are your levels here. And that's the show levels.
Oh, geez.
Oh, Jesus.
Holy crap.
Holy cow. I'll just bump this up a little bit. So there we go. What the hell do I? This is what the hell's it called?
Yeah, doesn't matter.
I'll find it after.
NCH.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
What do you think of that? What is it? OSB or yeah?
Oh, OSB sucks.
Yeah.
A lot of people use it,
Mm-hmm.
but you literally have to be a mastermind. Like for simple idiots like myself.
Well, and me. Yeah.
I couldn't figure it out. OBS.
OBS. That's it.
Yeah.
That's right. And then they've got Prism, which is, I guess, basically a lack of a better term, a dumbed down version of
OBS.
Yeah. And we're looking at that too. And it's like, holy cow.
You don't need it.
No.
For what you're doing, you don't need
Mm-mm.
it. StreamYard.
Yeah.
Besides, we have fun in here.
Yeah, we do.
You know? We have fun. How do you guys like it? Let's just get the audience poll here. Do you like the fact that Tim is in studio? Do you like the fact that we rather than him being somewhere else, that we actually have somebody in studio? Does that kind of add to it? Give me your thoughts, guys.
Mm-hmm. Be interesting. Everybody kick him out.
Tim, is that you answering or is that your goatee? Paramarv likes it. They seem to like it, dude.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, that's cool. Paramarv, yes. We have good interaction.
Oh, God.
It's like we're brothers from another mother.
That's like saying, let's be friends.
Oh, it's not you, it's me.
Yeah, it's not you, it's me.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. He does have a microphone. It's right down by his...
Hello?
Exactly. We just got to move it up.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do.
Definitely not as cool as Dave's mic, though.
Dave's mic does all sorts of
I know, right?
I hate this bar, though.
Boom, boom, boom.
No, it's just...
Oh,
I hate it in the camera angle.
oh,
Like,
I
it
see.
drives me nuts that it's on the camera angle.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know I've used them different, like just messing around.
And I refuse to go boy band headset. You know?
just
boy
like
band.
you're doing a Britney Spears song.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, now you get to find news in 2 days instead of...
That's okay, though. That's all right. I think it's not so much finding the news and I mean, because there's so much stuff out there. It's like, it's not just regurgitating headlines like we've talked about before. Oh, geez, there was a UFO over McDonald's in Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, okay. But I think it's presenting it, I think, is where my...
Well, you know what? For your first one, you did great.
Thank you.
And I think as you get more comfortable, like you'll notice, hi, Ruth Kleber, in a couple of nights, you're going to notice that you're more comfortable in 2 nights because now you've done it.
Yeah,
you got the jitters out.
Yeah,
and so now that you got the jitters out, it's going to be just a matter of, you're still going to be jittery for a few weeks.
Of course,
yeah?
no, of course.
But now you're going to all of a sudden be a little bit more comfortable. And the best part about it is, as you're getting more comfortable, you're going to start learning the players and the names and everything in ufology.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Oh, what's that, Jax? Before I go, I love it. Okay, so vote from Jax that she likes us in the studio.
Oh,
together.
she likes everything.
She's awesome, though. She's awesome. Philip Blair. Yeah, I agree. Tim needs a cool chair.
He does have a cool chair.
Yeah, but I'm still the FNG. So New guy.
Oh,
Just didn't.
got it. Got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. You're lucky to be getting a chair. When I started, I had to stand in the booth, right?
You know, George Norrie still stands.
Is that right?
Yeah. Because in radio, you actually, your voice sounds better. Like when you're sitting, you're contorting your body down. Yeah. And when you're standing, you actually have more clarity.
Mm-hmm.
But I sit. I've always sat during radio.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because when as a kid, I was in the choir and they were always stand up straight, stand up straight, stand up straight. Mm-hmm. And you didn't know how to use your diaphragm properly and stuff. And yeah, once you finally figured that out, and you're right, standing is obviously much clearer.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Sweet Robbie G's in the chat room.
No.
Oh, the sweets. You know, there's nothing sour about the sweets.
Uh-huh.
You see what I did there?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, I just did that, people.
I taking a note. Learning from the best.
Yeah. Hey, I made $1.50 today.
And you earned it.
I sure did.
Yeah, I don't know.
I sure did.
I'd almost, I mean, this is just me. I probably would have just gone, you can have that.
I literally walked into the boss's office.
Oh, yeah.
And I just said, why? That's more insultive than a zero.
And it cost them more to print it than it was.
Well, I don't get a check. I get direct deposits. So.
Still.
Why do we call Sweet Robbie G Sweet Robbie G? Because the guy is sweet as candy.
Ooh.
Sweet as candy. And did Art Bell stand? No, he sat down. With a giant overflowing ashtray in his studio. Real old school radio. Mm-hmm. Man, if I could have an ashtray in here, like just for the looks, like an ashtray that's
those
all
big crystal ones or the big black ones.
Oh, yeah. You know, the ones that say Golden Nugget Casino.
Right.
You know, the big heavy glass ones that if you hit somebody over the head with that, it would kill them.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yep.
You know, or John's Bakery and Lube, you know.
Well, my grandfather, I mean, back in the day, smoked and what have you. And yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They always, every old guy had one of those monstrous ashtrays in his shop, whatever he was doing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And they could fall off the counter onto cement. And
nothing happened.
You know. Yeah.
It would be that clean break, you know, or just knock a chip off of it.
Yep.
You know, totally be a clean break.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you, man, that'd be great. Go like just chain smoking through this. By the end of the night, my voice is like this.
You sound like Jack Webster.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember him smoking?
Oh, yeah.
They were smoking on TV.
And he'd be leaning up on the desk.
Oh, yeah. He always seemed like such a cranky son of a gun back in the day.
Yeah. I met him in Whistler probably, I think him and Laurier Lapierre. That guy's a piece of work. But yeah, I met Webster up in Whistler. I think it was like 1979, 1980.
That was the good days of Canadian journalism.
He was such a nice guy because I was just
Harvey Kirk.
Yeah. Yeah. So 79, I would have been 13. And I used to love it. Like even on summer vacation, you'd watch Webster in the morning. And yeah, I was a fan. I don't know why. I just loved the stuff he did as a kid watching news programs. And when I met him in Whistler, I was like, oh my God, it's Jack Webster. He just, how are you today? It was like, oh, good. And I met Gene Kiniski too.
Gene Kiniski, Canada's greatest athlete.
You get that right.
Uh-huh. Now we'll end up going blurry on here because I'm uploading.
Okay. Gene Kiniski.
Gene Kiniski. Wow.
Hey, a big dude.
Yeah. Like he had a tragic, didn't a bunch of his sons die?
I don't know that story.
Or no, it was the boxing guy.
Yeah.
The boxing guy who fought Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali said it was his George Chuvalo.
Mm-hmm.
Muhammad Ali said it was his toughest fight ever.
Right.
Was George Chuvalo, and his sons were like the Von Erichs, the wrestling family, the Von Erichs, where they all suffered from depression and they all, went way too soon on their own volition.
Yeah, for sure. No, you're a nice guy. I met Gene's son. I think he wrestled for a little bit too. Yeah, he wrestled with All Star, obviously, and then I think he went to Calgary. I think he was in Calgary.
Was he in Stampede
for a very limited time? Right?
Yeah,
but yeah, man.
I used to love Makam Singh and the Karachi Vice. They were badass.
I forgot all about them.
Wrestling.
Yeah, Mr. Whalen.
Oh yeah. Shut up, man. Shut up.
You don't even know.
Ed Whalen was the perfect
wrestling
commentator.
For sure.
I had no idea that he used to call Calgary Flames games.
No, it's funny, right? As a kid, because he was Stampede Wrestling.
Uh-huh.
And then, as you grow up and you learn these things, and then it was actually, the Hearts that own Stampede Wrestling, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Ed Whalen. And then who was the guy that used to do here in BC, the old guy? I was like,
oh, I forget that guy.
Little short guy.
I remember when All Star Wrestling used to come to Abbotsford.
Mm-hmm.
And one time they had a cage match. Mm-hmm. And I was so disappointed because there was no blood.
Oh.
You can't do a cage match without blood.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Remember Ole Olsen, man. That guy was huge.
Yeah.
And then champion was like, he said he was 175. There was no way.
No.
I forget his name, but there's no way that he was more than $140.
Yeah, exactly. Now, another guy that was a monster that I met was John Tenta, the Avalanche.
Yeah.
Holy God. Like, I never saw Andre the Giant in person.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking pretty darn close.
I saw Hulk Hogan wrestle Big John Studd at BC Place.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then we got ripped off in Vancouver one night because it was for the Intercontinental Championship, different night.
Yeah.
Randy Macho Man Savage, who I was a giant fan of, versus George the Animal Steel.
Oh, no way.
And George the Animal Steel, literally, George the Animal Steel got disqualified like 3 minutes into the match.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess he didn't want to play along and just decided, what, he jump out of the ring or something?
I forget what it was. I think it was him tearing the turnbuckle.
Well, that was his shtick. Though.
I know it was his shtick.
No.
Here I was all excited because
of course
I'm 13 years old. I'm in love with Elizabeth. Who isn't?
Yeah.
And finding her WWE cover magazine, that was tough back in the day.
Oh, I'll bet.
And I had one.
Did you really?
I did.
Holy cow. Yeah, that poor girl, man. Randy wasn't very nice to her.
No. No. Neither was Lex Luger.
No. Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
Hey, bump.
Right?
Yeah. No, I was an Ultimate Warrior guy.
I was never an Ultimate Warrior
really?
guy.
I've got to say his intensity was like, oh my God, right? And then I just kind of fell out of it because whatever. But still got to love Stone Cold. I do.
Oh, I love Stone Cold Steve Austin.
When my brother was working in Vancouver for the fire department, what they used to do is every Vancouver fire department guy has another job on the side. They all do. They're all contractors and crap. So my brother was working security at BC Place when they had wrestling, and he got to meet the Undertaker.
Oh, nice.
He goes, "What a super awesome guy. You guys are real firefighter?" Yeah. So he says he was more interested in talking about firefighting. He says, I wanted to talk to him about wrestling. He says, but I couldn't get a word in. I was like, that's so cool.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw Mick Foley grabbed the Undertaker, where he ripped open the ring
Mm-hmm.
and then came in
Yep.
through the floor of the ring.
Yep.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, I love Mick Foley.
Oh yeah. Well, he did when they did the cage match when they
Yeah,
and he was actually hurt. Like Nick Foley when he got hurt.
Oh yeah.
When he threw him off onto the and what was his other that leather mask?
Yeah, it was Mankind.
But if you look, I watched a documentary on it, and it was hosted, whatever, by whoever, but it was The Undertaker, and he did so much respect for Nick Foley, and that's what he said. He goes, he's up, and they're up on top of the cage, and he's going to throw him off the cage onto the announcer's tables.
Yeah.
And he goes, Nick was hurt. Right, and he's up on the cage, and they're doing the old. He's got him in a head clench, and he's going, "I can't do this, man. You're gonna die." And he's like, "You've got to. It's for the show." So when he threw him off, and he hit.
I know.
Oh,
every time that documentary's on TV, I watch it.
Yeah, right.
It is some of the most powerful. Like today's wrestling doesn't compare to the Attitude Era.
I haven't watched it in years.
It's horrible.
Today's
wrestling is horrible.
The other one was Jake the Snake. Poor guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like Rowdy Roddy too.
Yeah, he was a good Canadian kid.
Mm-hmm.
Good Canadian kid.
You can't beat crazy.
Uh-huh. Whoopoo is like Bill Goldberg, the most unsafe wrestler all time. Yep.
No doubt, because he was just a football player that, right?
Well, nobody ever trained him. They just threw him in the ring.
Yeah, exactly.
Gave him the basics because he ended Bret Hart's career.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yep. Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. I love wrestling.
When I used to, and like you say, I quit watching it like when Bret the Hitman Hart was gone and, all that.
There's no good characters today. They're boring. They're all cookie cutter. Everything's scripted today. Like the promos are scripted and everything. Whereas back in the Attitude, apparently that's coming back.
Yeah.
Because they're moving Raw to Netflix.
Yeah.
Instead of onto regular television.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently it's going to be excuse me, apparently wrestlers are going to be able to say whatever they want.
That's cool. And it was funny because you'll remember this when it was when Triple H and Shawn Michaels and they got together. What was the name of that? Freaking, oh my goodness, doesn't matter. But they had that foursome, and they were all just attitude. And then they ended up bailing, and everybody went over to WCW. The four of them left.
Well, the two of them left.
Or the two of them left, right?
Yeah.
But I would almost guarantee that Triple H has something to do with bringing a little bit of snap back into it. Because he's Vince McMahon's son-in-law.
McMahon doesn't own it anymore. So.
No, but I think that, yeah.
Because they were bought by UFC, I think. The parent company of UFC.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, man. The way Ric Flair used to cut. Those legendary matches between like Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, I know. And did you ever see Dusty in interviews after his career? Just slice.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, dude.
Right?
Mm-hmm. No, thank you.
Totally.
I used to like DDTing my brother, though, on the basement floor.
Oh, if you can't DDT your friend. My friend gave me a pile driver one day.
Ooh.
We had a bunch of blankets out and pillows, and the one spot where he drives my head right into the. Granted, we weren't that big,
Still.
but it's like,
eating soup with a straw for a couple of weeks.
Pretty much.
Oh. No, man. Yeah, we all did stuff like that. Just amazing that we're not like in wheelchairs or fused spines or anything.
Oh, I know. It's how does that even happen?
Well, that's thinning the herd too, right? You always had the kid that you were there for one catastrophic wipeout or something.
Hey, Submaster, how you doing? Welcome to SOR. I used to watch on YouTube like this backyard wrestling channel.
Yeah.
And it was so bad. Honestly, it was so bad. But they had titles and they had everything. And
were those guys out of Edmonton?
no, they were out of the U.S. somewhere.
Oh, okay.
But I respected them because you know what, man? If I was 20 years younger, to have a wrestling ring in my backyard, oh hell yeah!
Oh no,
hell yeah!
I'd be doing it off the top ropes.
Oh yeah. I'd put up a cage.
Yeah. Do a leaping Lanny Poffel.
Right.
Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
Jesus. Terrible.
I know.
Terrible. All right, everybody. It's that time of the night where we're going to say goodnight to all of you. Tomorrow night on the show, what do we got? It's going to be good. Going to be real good. Trey Hudson is here. We're going to talk cryptids and portals.
Nice.
Yeah, Trey's going to be amazing. Hasn't been on the show in a while. We got a scheduling change. Normally Wednesday is Merle, but Merle had an important thing to do with his daughter. They were going to a school carnival. At her school.
Cool.
And so he asked if we could switch it to Wednesday or Thursday. So Merle will be on with Samantha Mode on Thursday. Wednesday, we'll have Geraldine Stith. This is my first time interviewing Geraldine. Her father was one of the families in the original Kentucky Goblin Scare.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We end the week with John Kachuba talking shapeshifters among us.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. We got a power week of shows this week.
We'll sell you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
But wait, there's more. Right? And so tomorrow night, once again, Trey Hudson. I love Trey. Great guy. Big fan of what we do here as well. And thank you tonight to our super chatters, Dutch Hank, Aloha Dave, JSCO, Rose Demery, and W. Decker Area 53 for the super chats. Thank you to all our new subscribers out there on every venue where you're hearing us. We're going to say goodnight. And we will talk to you guys very, very soon.
Good night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.